voted to indict Donald Trump. We don't have the full details yet, but there it is, ladies and gentlemen. All of these conservative but anti-Trump people who kept saying Trump was grifting and lying, he was never going to be indicted. Oh, they have egg on their face because Donald Trump's been indicted. And you had many on the left, liberals, who were saying he was going to be indicted. They were excited for it. And you had Trump supporters saying this is an egregious violation of social or political norms. But here we go. The NYPD has ordered a full mobilization. All officers are ordered to wear their uniforms and get ready for potential unrest. And there's a lot to break down in that story alone. So, oh boy, do we have a lot to go through. Before we get started, we got a few things to shout out. It's the last day for us for our new song, Bright Eyes. So go to trashhouserecords.com, purchase the song Bright Eyes for whatever you want.
Sorry about that. I screwed up on one of the steps, man. I screwed up. That's what happened there. In case you were wondering, it was me. And I'm still kind of confused about some things here. Ethan, what's happening? Alright, shout out to Mark Bass and Manuel Forever. They showed up on the other stream, 20,000 and 10,000 ODU, and Golden Coin got 20,000. Anthony Aguero, 10,000, and Lily Sweets got 5,000. Being third, thank you all for being here so fast. Awesome. And the other stream, there was like the accidental stream. That's what Mark Bass and Manuel got paid for. Sorry. That's a confusion.
Because tonight, we're going to have a members-only uncensored show after the main show, which I'm sure is going to be fun either way.
Uncensored.
So we will also have call-ins. If you become a member, you can join our Discord server where you can submit questions and actually call into the uncensored after show and have your questions answered. We do that Monday through Thursday. So it will be a lot of fun. And it's going to be especially a lot of fun because today we are joined by the omniliberal himself, Destiny.
Hey, what's up? Trying really hard to follow the rules right now, okay?
Yeah, all right. Do you want to just tell people who you are? What do you do? You've been on the show before.
Yeah, my name is Destiny, by Stephen Bonnell. You can find me at youtube.com/Destiny. And I debate people from a center-left/progressive position. And that's what I've been doing for about the past 6 or 7 years. And then before that, I was a StarCraft 2 semi-professional gamer.
Wow.
Who are you? Zerg, Protoss, Terran?
Zerg, obviously.
I will say this. There's very few people we associate with the left who are willing to come on the show. Most people we encounter, we politely offer. We'll say like, hey, we'll fly you out. We really want to have a conversation. I think they're all liars. But
what happened to Lance?
He's coming.
Is he?
Yeah, absolutely. The Surfs.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Love you, Lance.
We absolutely scheduled him to come on, and he said, hell yeah. And I was like, cool. Like, I'm totally down to have anybody who's in the political conversation come on and talk about these ideas. But I got to be honest, I think a lot of them are just lying. And I do not count you as one of them. I think you actually are intelligent. You have a lot of good points. And I think you just have different opinions. So I think we'll have a good conversation. So thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We also have Sean from Uncensored America.
Hi, how you doing?
Who are you and what do you do?
Oh, I give this guy a lot of trouble. That's what I do. My name is Sean Semenko. I found the free speech organization Uncensored America. And we basically host speaking events on college campuses with anybody that's censored, canceled, or anything in between, honestly. And we're going to have a debate with Stephen and Milo coming up on Christian nationalism at the University of Tennessee. It's going to be in a couple weeks. So
that's cool.
If you want tickets, go to uncensoredamerica.us, and we'll have some for that. And also, Laura Loomer is going to be speaking at University of South Carolina.
Right on, right on.
Awesome, man. I'm Ian Crossland. You hit me up at Ian Crossland anywhere on the internet. Good to see you guys. Let's move. We also have Serge over here.
Yo, I am Serge.com. Pleasure, Destiny. It's nice to see you in real life. Let's do this.
All right.
Before we go much further, because Sean will kill me if I don't bring this up, festival.minds.com. I believe you and I are both doing an event there in a few weeks.
Yeah, April 15th.
Yeah, in Austin. If you guys want tickets for that, they're still selling tickets. So
yes, we're doing a live Timcast IRL that Friday, and that's sold out. But the Minds event is the second day at the same location, the Vulcan, and you guys are going to be there. Ian's going to be there.
I'll be there too. I'll be speaking that day.
Yep. Yeah, right on. All right, let's jump into this big breaking news story. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking. Manhattan grand jury votes to indict Donald Trump. Trump will be the first former president to be indicted. The grand jury's vote regards an alleged settlement made with adult film actress Stormy Daniels during the former president's 2016 campaign. According to 5 people with knowledge of the matter per the New York Times, Trump and Daniels allegedly had a sexual encounter in 2006, according to the claim. Trump is the first former president to face criminal charges after office. While the specific charges are currently unknown, An indictment is expected to be announced as Trump will be asked to surrender and face arraignment. A lawyer for the former president confirmed his indictment shortly after the initial announcement, the AP reported. In a March 18th Truth Social post, Trump said he would be arrested on the 21st and called for people to protest and take our nation back. Okay, so basically after that, they postpone the indictment. Things get delayed. Then a bunch of people who are, conservative but not pro-Trump started saying Trump's grifting, he's lying, it's not going to happen. Then today they announced, I think it was today they announced the grand jury was going to be suspended for a month. And then all of a sudden, just like a couple hours ago, they announced they voted to indict Donald Trump. So obviously, my opinion on this, as we've talked about it before, is this is silly and stupid. But while we have you, man, what do you think?
If he committed a crime, I think he should have the book thrown at him. I think generally this is a misdemeanor crime. Usually there's a statute of limitations. But if records were falsified in an attempt to cover up another crime, then the statute of limitations is extended. But I don't think any of us have seen the indictment yet. So I wait till they unseal the indictment to see how silly or stupid I think it is. But hey, if he broke the law, I think he should have the book thrown at him. Even ex-presidents, I don't believe, are above the law. So
I absolutely agree. I'd like to see more presidents get arrested and charged.
Oh, man, make me nervous, you guys. It's the first time in history a president's ever been indicted.
No, I agree. I don't care. If they break the law, then they should be charged. My issue, I suppose, is it seems overtly political. I mean,
how can we say that without seeing the indictment?
That's a fair point.
but you just said that.
I said it seems overtly political. It's fair to say we don't know for sure, but it seems that way, especially considering the dude campaigned on investigating Trump. They spent years, and this was the best they could come up with, that Cohen paid Stormy Daniels to not write a book or give an interview or whatever about banging Trump, and that Trump tried claiming it was legal fees, despite the fact that a letter was put out 2018 where Cohen's lawyer said Cohen paid for it out of pocket, was never reimbursed. So, I mean, that feels kind of like exculpatory evidence outright, which makes this seem political.
So do you think that the payments to him that were recorded in the book, do you think that's all fake, or?
I don't know. Well, definitely, I'm interested in seeing what the reason. I
just don't understand why, because the thing that drives me the craziest, it happens with the Andrew Tate stuff too, where things will come out and people immediately say, this is political, it's partisan. It's like, well, why not just wait till the indictments come out? And then we can actually see. When the indictments come out, it might be that there's a lot of stuff in there. And it's like, oh, okay, that's fair. And it might be, wow, this is BS. It's obviously
because
political.
Bragg campaigned on doing this.
Sure, but I mean, people can campaign on all sorts of things, right? Giuliani campaigned on cleaning up New York, the guy that,
that literally makes it political.
If you campaign on enforcing laws, is that a political
No, he
statement?
campaigned on investigating Trump.
Maybe he thought Trump broke some laws.
But it's
it seems like a fair thing to campaign on.
Show me the man, I'll show you the law that he broke, right?
Well, we're about to see that shown once the indictments are unsealed, huh?
So here's what I think with the potential of this case. You have a lawyer? I imagine you've gone through legal stuff, right?
Not like a dedicated one, but I've had a couple depending on what I'm going through. Yeah.
Do you go through their itemized invoices? You might. I mean, I don't know if you do or not.
I've never made a single payment of over $10,000 to a lawyer. So usually they send me the itemized thing, and they bill by every 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. Yeah.
These bills that Trump's paying are over hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I think for Cohen, wasn't it 330,000 or something at the end of the day?
Yeah, something like that. And so I really doubt Trump was handed this invoice, looked at it and said, no, we can't say we paid Stormy. That's illegal. Let's falsify this record. He probably got a legal bill and was like, just pay him. I don't know, whatever. Right?
Didn't Cohen claim that he and Trump had personal conversations about this particular issue?
Yes, after the fact. But in 2018, Cohen's lawyer claimed Cohen paid for it personally without instruction from Trump and was never reimbursed for it.
Sure. Do you think has Cohen claimed otherwise, though?
After the fact, yes, Cohen has claimed otherwise.
So, and those claims were under oath, correct?
Then he should be charged with perjury if that's the case.
But the statements by his boss, were those statements under oath?
His boss?
Yeah, or the other lawyer. Yeah, the other lawyer. Were those under oath?
I don't know
why
who
this guy
the letter was filed with.
Lawyer
something that Rosenstein said that I think is really important when he was asked for questioning. This was like 3 or 4 years ago, I think. Is he would get very irritated when he was brought before Congress and claims of the media. I think Jim Jordan did this to him. The claims from the media would be brought before him, and they'd say, "Well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that?" And he said, "Well, I don't think that's true." I was like, "Do you think they're lying?" And something Rosenstein said was, "Well, if you think they're lying, bring them and have them testify under oath." So I think it's important when we look at people's statements. People say a lot of things. We saw this with Giuliani and his claims about Trump. People say a lot of things, and then when they're under oath, their stories change significantly. So I'd always be cautious to compare statements made under oath to something that some guy might have just said in a letter or said to the press or said to a friend.
Who's Rosenstein?
I think this was sent to the Federal Election Commission.
Maybe, yeah.
That's what it says. Via email, Federal Election Commission, Office of Complaints, Examination, and Legal Administration. Attention, Crystal Dennis. And the letter says that Cohen did it of his own volition. He paid for it out of pocket. He was never reimbursed. So I would put it this way. It seems political when you have a letter like this from years ago, from 5 years ago. And but again, fair point. We'll see what happens. My issue with it for the most part is really falsified record misdemeanor charge. You want to get into the debate about Barack Obama blowing up a kid? Because I would absolutely love to talk about that. Look, if they want to give Trump a misdemeanor charge and lock him up for however many months a misdemeanor gets him, I would absolutely be willing to make that to agree. You're right. He's got to be charged. Next up, Obama. Shit. He blew up a kid. He blew up a bunch of kids.
I don't know if Obama broke a law.
I don't think Americans of any capacity are allowed to kill other Americans.
Of any capacity? Don't cops do it all the time?
Not like...
I mean, it seems like they, in the service of doing...
That's a little bit of a semantic trick you played there, right?
Okay.
Obviously, you can kill people in self-defense, but Obama bombed a civilian restaurant in Yemen, a country we're not at war with, killing civilians, including a 16-year-old American citizen. Like, you can't... If you're in the military... You can't just, or a cop, you can't just go and kill somebody.
Murder. You can't murder.
Yeah, but I imagine the justification Obama would use is that this was in defense of U.S. interests or defense of the United States. And in his role as commander-in-chief, the president of the United States has offered wide deference from the Supreme Court for taking actions in the commission of protecting the United States, even if we disagree with them.
Yeah, I think that's criminal. I mean,
but that's fine. But there's a different question of like, is it illegal versus do you think it's criminal, like bad, right? It's probably bad, I guess, but like.
So the Obama administration's argument was that they were trying to target a terrorist leader, but I'm not. I mean, you make a fair point, but I'd be willing to argue that the president does not have the authority to bomb countries we are not at war with.
Well, what about when Trump assassinated Soleimani? That was an assassination.
Where was that taking place in?
In Iraq.
In Iraq,
yeah.
A country we have an AUMF over. An authorization for use of military force.
I don't think the authorization for use of military force, I'm pretty sure we were on good terms with Iraq at that point. I don't know if we had the ability to do whatever we wanted in that country. That was a political assassination, though. But there are executive orders that are against the United States.
And I don't disagree.
Sure. But I'm just saying that in general, there's multiple questions going on here. We can say, do we think it's wrong or bad? Probably. I think generally the United States president killing American citizens is generally a bad thing, unless there's really good justification for it. But there's a difference between that versus is it illegal? And I think that the law tends to, we argued about this a little bit before the show, when Trump was doing things at the border that we thought, when I say we progressives and the left got really mad at, the Supreme Court tended to side with him because the president has given wide deference over matters of
what was he doing on the
security.
border?
I think it was when he was using, he couldn't get the funding for the border wall. No. It was over banning certain people coming into the country. When he named there were 7 Muslim majority countries, and when he was running for president, even Giuliani said he's trying to find ways to do a Muslim majority ban. Technically, he's not allowed to do that.
Venezuela, North Korea were on that list, though.
Yeah, well, he changed it up, I think, after the first one didn't go through for whatever reason. But once he did that ban, when people tried to challenge it, the Supreme Court basically said, president, border, he can do almost anything he wants because it's the president of the border.
Yeah, but that's not blowing up a kid.
I didn't say it was blowing up a kid, but I'm just saying that in general, you would think that like, well, if we're talking like border, if we're talking about like passing policy at the border, that seems like a congressional thing. Like we should be passing laws about immigration policy, but the president can do that basically all on his own because the Supreme Court's like, hey, he's a president, national security, he can do almost whatever he wants.
I think I see the disconnect.
Dude,
I'm less concerned with legality.
Okay, I'm only talking legalities.
Right. So I think that a president who bombs a country we're not at war with should be stripped of his power and criminally charged for killing an American citizen. And it should be literally under the U.S. murder statutes that are covered by multiple state and federal laws. I don't look at it like, well, you know.
Is a murder statute, could I in Tennessee get arrested if I bomb somebody in Yemen? Is that I don't know what the...
I mean, that's a good point. You might, yeah, absolutely.
No.
I mean, that might be like way worse than murder. It might be terroristic, international. There might, like, I'm pretty sure if you, as an American citizen, set up a bomb in a foreign country, you'd be criminally charged in the U.S.
You'd have to.
Yeah, but I don't know if it'd be under state statutes, right?
It wouldn't
that
be
sounds
the
like
US.
International, federal, yeah, maybe.
exactly.
Right.
Julian Assange is being criminally charged in the U.S., even though he's not a U.S. citizen who didn't do anything in the United States. Kim.com, for that matter, too. I mean, the dude's never even was never this country, and they went after him. So
I just think that I think it's really important that we separate conversations of what should somebody be charged with versus like what do we think is wrong. And I think both conversations are important. We could talk about like, is this wrong or is it not wrong? And there's probably a good conversation to be had there. But there's a difference between that versus like somebody needs to be charged here. Because like, well, charged with what? Is there actually a crime broken, or is it just like we're really upset about this particular thing, which is fair.
Yeah, I think the Patriot Act's insane, and the National Defense Authorization Act, insane. It gives them it really gives the president the authority to bomb an American citizen anywhere in the United States.
It doesn't. It gives them the right to rendition anyone, anywhere in the world, and then hold secret tribunals. And I think that's wrong. And I think if we're going to just play like the question of, is it legal? well, then there's a whole lot of really awful stuff the government's going to end up doing if we just say, well, they made it legal so they can do it. But they
but this is what I always fight against, like when it comes to like BLM and everything too. It's important to change the laws. If we want people to be held accountable, we have to change the laws to reflect what we think our moral will is so that we can actually get people to be held accountable. Because otherwise you just get a bunch of people that are like, this is wrong, do something. It's like, okay, well, I don't know, what do you want us to do? Like, it's not illegal, like we can't do anything about it, you know?
If we changed the law and it made it illegal to bomb kids in Yemen, then we wouldn't be able to charge people that were doing it while it was legal. Because it was legal when they did it.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, do we want to make it so that when we change laws, we can retroactively?
No,
right?
I don't. Anyway,
like I don't think we're ever officially at war with Syria, right?
No.
But Trump bombed the airport. Is that like? But again, he's the president. It's our military. Like,
I guess the other question is, in talking about Abdulrahman al-Awlaki, he wasn't the intended target. The intended target was somebody else, and he had just a few weeks prior killed Anwar al-Awlaki, Abdulrahman's dad. So he kills this guy who's an American citizen. Then argues, well, look, he was a jihadi. He was preaching against the United States. He had to be stopped. But then a few weeks later, he targets a civilian restaurant in Yemen, blows up this restaurant with a drone strike, killing Anwar al-Awlaki's son, Abdulrahman. And the response was, well, we were targeting a terror leader, so it's okay. So I guess the question is, I'm curious as to the legalities and the moral standing of, one, does the president have the legal authority to kill anyone in any country at any time in the eyes of the United States? If he does and hits the wrong target and kills an innocent American citizen, is there a manslaughter similar charge for this kind of conflict?
I think internationally, unfortunately, I think we just don't tend to hold countries responsible. This has happened multiple times. I'll avoid the USS Liberty example because that's a whole loaded thing. But there was, let's see, I think Iran... after we killed Soleimani, in the night or the night after that followed, Iran accidentally shot down, I think, one of their own civilian airliners. And there were no charges. Nothing was held for that. I believe...
In Iran?
In Iran, yeah.
I mean, they're like authoritarian, though,
True. No, I'm just saying, but internationally, I believe it happened over Ukraine as well. I think that there was a missile launched from Crimea, I believe. That was probably with the assistance of Russian troops. There was a civilian airliner shot down there. That nothing happened. The United States, I believe, I think we shot down a civilian plane that killed like over 150 or over 200 people. That might have been south of Iran, I think, flying towards Saudi Arabia maybe, and we didn't do anything about that. We said sorry, but I think that was like 200 or so civilians dead. I mean, it happens, it sucks, but I mean, precedent internationally is that like sometimes mistakes happen, countries do mistakes, they're bad, and you pay money sometimes, but there's usually not like criminal courts for those types of mistakes. Now, that was proven, then yeah, of course, we say, but
the best I could do on short notice, the ACLU wrote an article saying that it was unlawful.
Well, if the ACLU said it.
No, I mean, yeah, it's
when they said which was unlawful.
The not just the killing of Abdulrahman al-Awlaki, but the other civilians that were killed in these countries we're not at war with was. It says the killing program isn't only unlawful, it's unwise, and that's about on the short term. There have been legal arguments made that Obama does have the right to kill Americans abroad, but I kind of feel like we've got multiple amendments that afford American citizens a plethora of rights before they can just kill you. So that's where I'm at on the issue, I suppose.
Do you still have American rights when you're in another country?
You still pay taxes, so yes, you do.
And
the State Department will send guys to rescue you if you're kidnapped.
Maybe.
This is the first I've heard of the USS Liberty that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, God, no, don't even do it.
1967, during the Israeli Six-Day War, they accidentally torpedoed or they shot down a...
Yeah, but depending on who you ask, it's not an accident. That's like a whole can of worms of weird Jewish stuff.
Let's jump to this next story. From Timcast.com, quote, political persecution, election interference at the highest level in history. Trump responds to indictment, will reportedly surrender early next week. Never before in our nation's history has this been done. The statement from Trump, let's pull it up, let's read it. Here we go, if I can. Text is kind of small. He writes, this is political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. From the time I came down the golden escalator at Trump Tower, and even before I was sworn in as your president of the United States, the radical left Democrats, the enemy of hardworking men and women of this country, have been engaged in a witch hunt to destroy the Make America Great Again movement. You remember it just like I do. Russia, 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 the Mueller hoax, Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, the illegal and unconstitutional Mar-a-Lago raid, and now this. The Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession with trying to get Trump. But now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference. Never before in our nation's history has this been done. The Democrats have cheated countless times over the decades, including spying on my campaign, but weaponizing our justice system to punish a political opponent who just so happens to be a president of the United States and by far the leading Republican candidate for president has never happened before ever. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who was handpicked and funded by George Soros, is a disgrace. Rather than stopping the unprecedented crime wave taking over New York City, he's doing Joe Biden's dirty work, ignoring the murders and burglaries and assaults he should be focused on. This is how Bragg spends his time. I believe this witch hunt will backfire massively on Joe Biden. The American people realize exactly what the radical left Democrats are doing here. Everyone can see it. So our movement and our party, united and strong, will first defeat Alvin Bragg, and then we will defeat Joe Biden. And we are going to throw every last one of these crooked Democrats out of office so we can make America great again. Well, very interesting. What do you think?
They better be doing a really good job at that office. I think there's a lot of political consideration that has to go into these charges because it's a really scary world when your criminal justice system is potentially interfering with an election, which is something that, despite what some Americans think, that's all of our intelligence agencies try really hard to avoid this exact scenario where you might be indicting or arresting or charging with crimes like somebody that could be running for president. So I hope that whatever they have, I hope when these indictments are unsealed, some really solid stuff, and it's not just a whole bunch of Lucy whatever that ends up falling apart.
What do you think about, he mentions Ukraine. What do you remember the whole Ukraine gate fiasco impeachment? Donald Trump quid pro quo.
Yep, I do remember that. Yeah, what about it?
What are your thoughts?
Am I allowed to say the F word?
After 15 seconds, yeah.
I mean, we try to keep it family
friendly. In the first 15 seconds, they demonetize.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm okay with that impeachment, if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
You think Trump committed a crime with?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You want to elaborate? I know it might be. It's been a long time.
It's been a while, but my understanding was that Trump contacted Ukraine, Zelensky, and he was asking if there was wrongdoing done by, I think it was by Biden in finding that prosecutor, and if they had any information about potential wrongdoings that Hunter Biden or Joe Biden had been involved in Ukraine. And in exchange for that, he wanted to withhold aid that was already congressionally approved to Ukraine for that.
So what's wrong with that? Like, why is that a problem?
Legally or morally, or
both, either, whatever you think.
Legally, I believe it's because I don't think the president has the authority to withhold that aid. I don't remember what the legal arguments for on that. For the moral part is our president probably shouldn't be asking other countries to investigate like wrongdoings of political opponents. That's a really scary
But Joe Biden
world.
wasn't running for office at the time.
I mean, then why was he? Hold on. I'm trying to think of the timeline for this.
Yeah, Joe Biden, it was a year before he announced. That was part of the controversy, that Joe Biden had not announced he was running for office at all.
No, but hold on. He might not have announced it, but I'm pretty sure most people knew he was running. Like in the early polls, like if you looked at Real Clear Progress, if you looked at a lot of the polling aggregate sites, like they were already polling Biden. He'd already been factored in quite a while. He might have announced that he was going to run.
Who the fuck pays for this? Do I talk to the police department? How does this work?
Talk to George Soros. He's the one that started all of this bullshit. George Soros.
For office, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people were expecting it.
I mean that's just speculative media stuff. So Trump isn't actively investigating a political opponent, unless the argument is we all secretly knew that was going to be the case. There were, like, Bernie Sanders was still in the race. There were a bunch of other people. At the time, the controversy was like, what? Joe Biden. There were other Democrats that were actually talking about running, and it wasn't Joe Biden. He announced late.
He did announce late, but he was still factored into the polls really early because a lot of people thought he was going to run. The question is, though, do we want the president contacting other, even if he's not running, he's still
what if the vice president did the same thing? Is that
if the vice president was? I think that anytime you're reaching out, like, let's ask. If we pull back on a macro level, why is Trump asking this information? Does he genuinely think that there's been some grave wrongdoing done by the Bidens that needs to be corrected for?
Yeah.
And if so, why isn't he asking our intelligence agencies for information about this? Why is he going to another country and asking?
I mean, we have the Five Eyes Spy Club. We do that all the time.
It's where we don't do that all the time. Going to another leader and saying, "Hey, I need you to get dirt on a potential political opponent," because I think there's something.
Well, he wasn't a political opponent. And
he is a political. Even if he was the vice president of the former opposite party guy that he just as he came into office. What do you mean? He's some kind of political opponent, right? Even if he wasn't directly running yet. Like, I would argue if he was asking this for AOC, for instance, I would say that it's similar.
Trump didn't go to the president of Ukraine and say, "I got this political opponent I need dirt on." He said, "What's up with this video of Joe Biden threatening to withhold congressionally approved aid unless you take action on his behalf?" And the president of Ukraine was like, "I'm not sure." And he goes, "Well, can you look into that? I want to know what that's about."
It wasn't just, can you look into that? It was, if you don't find what I need, I might withhold aid that's already been congressionally approved for you. And that was the issue. If he was just asking questions, we wouldn't be having the conversation. He wouldn't have been impeached, right?
So this is the point that I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. When this started, and Donald Trump asked about this, specifically because there was a viral video of Joe Biden outright admitting to threatening to withhold congressionally approved aid unless a prosecutor got fired, you had Joe Biden breaking the law.
Sure. So there was a video of Joe Biden on stage making the claim/joke on stage where he's saying, I told him, you don't do it, you're not going to blah, 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 blah.
Joke.
But in terms of him but in terms of there actually being a serious offer on the table where he was like threatening to withhold aid, I'm not even sure if that was ever the case. We have that one statement that he was made publicly. Number one,
signed a sworn affidavit that it's what happened.
Sure. Number one. Number two, the impetus for Shokin being removed from Ukraine was not to get some kind of political dirt on an opponent. It was a completely different scenario. This is a prosecutor that all of Europe and over half of Ukraine wanted fired, that the United States was acting on behalf of the Western world and trying to pressure this prosecutor out because of his lack of prosecuting corruption in the country. That's a totally different thing than I threatened to withhold aid from this guy because he's not giving me dirt on potential political opponents.
So why is it that the guy who was being investigated, Mykola Zlochevsky, returned to the country? He had fled when Shokin was investigating him. And then after Joe Biden got Shokin removed, Zlochevsky returned to the country to begin working on Burisma again.
Why did he return to the country?
Well,
it could have been for any number of reasons. I'm not sure.
Right. So the argument from the Democrats, the specific corruption that wasn't being prosecuted, referring to is the prosecution of Mykola Zlochevsky, the founder of Burisma.
Okay.
And the argument they made was he wasn't investigating him. That was the problem. And then Joe Biden says, and we got him out, and then they put in someone solid. The only issue is, when Shokin had about a dozen active investigations into Burisma and Zlochevsky fled the country. They froze his account. When Biden came in and got the prosecutor fired, Zlochevsky safely returned to Ukraine without fear of criminal prosecution. When Donald Trump made that phone call, Zlochevsky fled again. So it sounds more like, you've got Hunter Biden on the board of Burisma, you got a former CIA director on the board of Burisma, and Zlochevsky, the founder. And Shokin had 12 different and active, around 12 to 14.
All of the investigations into Burisma were dead.
No, they weren't. That's not true.
It was
wrong.
Absolutely true.
Completely false.
They were only revived 1 month before Shokin was forced out. Every single one of those probes was completely dead.
That's wrong.
You can Google it and look for it if you want.
So I'm citing Matt Taibbi.
Oh, God.
Right, and if you don't want to trust a journalist or whatever,
or like any actual article, not a tweet, like any
I'm not talking about a tweet. I'm talking about an article that he wrote breaking down what happened with Ukraine and his investigation into Zlochevsky, and this is from 2017.
Okay, so your claim is that the probes into Burisma never went cold and never died; that they were active the entire time.
They were active the entire time, right?
Okay, my understanding is that those probes were all cold and all dead, and it was part of the reason
you
why
said dead before. Now you're saying cold.
It's the same thing. They weren't being actively worked on.
So
there were probes, but nobody was doing anything with them until it was 1 month before Shokin was actually ousted that there was some progress started to be made on those.
So that's a very difficult question to get into. The fact is, there were active investigations.
Well, but that's kind of the meat of what we're talking about, right?
Well, so
it's kind of important to settle the fact of the matter on that. Yeah.
Were there 12 investigations? Yes or no?
I know that there were investigations open for a couple years, but my understanding is they were open. It's not all that matters. They were dead investigations. There wasn't any progress being made on it. That's what I read that was reported.
Right. My point is this.
But that's pretty important because if they were being actively investigated, then that obviously changes a little bit the story that we're telling.
So did Shokin have investigations into Burisma and Zlochevsky? Yes, he had about a dozen.
But whether or not investigation is live or dead, isn't that important? You don't think so?
Did Zlochevsky flee the country while these were on the books? Yes, he did.
I'm not
when
sure.
Shokin was removed and the investigations were officially stricken, Zlochevsky returns.
So do you think that there are criminal wrongdoings that he's done that he's not being prosecuted for?
What I think is that the United States is in an energy crisis, in a war with Eastern powers. The United States has been trying to get a pipeline for natural gas called the Qatar-Turkey pipeline into Europe, but Syria said no. Syria destabilizes for whatever reason. We want to run that pipeline through Syria, through Turkey, into Europe to offset the Gazprom gas monopoly. Russia runs natural gas into Europe through Ukraine through Gazprom. It's about 20%. It's massively powerful for them and it allows them to control prices. The United States has interests in setting up an energy company to offset that monopoly, hence Burisma. Hunter Biden's on the board, probably for these reasons. A former CIA director, probably for these reasons.
Wasn't Burisma one of the smaller gas companies in that country?
Absolutely. And it seems like the U.S. was trying to compete with Russia to get cheaper gas to Europe. And the argument made was that Europe was constrained by high gas prices from Russia, and that we wanted the European economy to be bolstered and grow faster to compete with China, but Russia was basically keeping us pinned down.
Sure. This is nice conjecture, but is there anything backing up any of this aside from
This is all the official reporting.
What do you mean by official reporting?
So
there was official reporting that we got rid of Shokin because we wanted to bolster U.S. interest.
That's the only speculation I have. I'm saying based on the facts, it seems to me the issue was Shokin did have investigations into Burisma, which was a problem for U.S. interests, not because of corruption, but because it's more of a war front. It's more of a.
Do you think that Shokin was a corrupt prosecutor?
No.
Okay. Why did all of Europe and a lot of Ukraine hate him?
Because Europe wants cheap gas. Shokin was impeding that. It's not an issue of corruption. It's an issue of conflicting
He was
interests.
impeding it how?
So active investigations into Burisma are impeding U.S. interests in competing with Gazprom.
Burisma isn't even the largest gas player in that country, though.
That's not the point. We don't have the Qatar-Turkey pipeline into Ukraine because Syria blocked it. So you have a multi-front effort going back to, I think, like the 2000s to get cheaper natural gas into Europe. So of course they're not going to like anybody who's got Eastern allegiances. It's possible that with Ukraine you had, in the eastern part of the country, more pro-Russia sentiment. With Yanukovych, you had more pro-Russia sentiment, and you had government officials that were like, look, we are not just pro-West. Of course, then he gets ousted. There's unrest. I can't remember.
What do you mean for Yanukovych, though? Yanukovych was standing alone with that pro-Russian status, though. That wasn't all the government officials. That was part of the reasons why people were so upset with Yanukovych, was because he was trying to push for Russia in opposition to what their parliament was even pushing for.
That's what I'm saying. And so there's probably, he wasn't the only person. The sentiment was fairly split, but was leaning towards the EU.
Had been voted on by their parliament, like, to favor the EU. That was what the vote was for.
And so the way I see it is there are probably elements of that government that were more favorable to Russia, which is why Europe doesn't like them. The people, Ukrainians who want to be a part of the EU and members of the EU who want Ukraine to join because they want more control over natural gas, of course, naturally would oppose anybody who is siding with Russia.
Do you think that Ukraine was a corrupt country prior to 2014?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's.
Do you think so? That's for all of Europe and for everybody complaining about the corruption and stuff relating to Shokin, you think that all of that was BS and they just didn't like him because he was preventing their cheap oil or cheap gas?
Say that one more time.
You think that all of the upsetness that people across Europe and Ukraine had with Shokin had nothing to do with any of the corruption of the country or his lack of pressuring? Because like that's the official story that's given. It seems to be like pretty consistent throughout. Like
I can only speak on a surface level about this one particular issue because I don't know the inner workings of all of Ukrainian politics.
Okay.
But what I do know is there's been a tremendous effort by Western forces leading to outright physical military conflict to get natural gas into Europe to offset Russia's control of gas prices. Naturally, it seems like these things are related. Speculative. The facts are the U.S. went to Syria and said, can we build the Qatar-Turkey pipeline? Syria literally said to the United States that would natural gas into Europe to offset Russia's control of gas prices. Naturally, it seems like these things are related. Speculative. The facts are the U.S. went to Syria and said, can we build the Qatar-Turkey pipeline? Syria literally said to the United States that would be bad for our ally Russia, so we will not allow it. Fortunately for us, for whatever reason, Syria falls into civil war, and we just happen to oppose the guy who denied that. I don't think the whole reason for opposing it has to do with gas, but it's convenient for us nonetheless. We weren't able to do it, and to make it worse, Iran wanted to tap the same natural gas field and send the gas through Iraq and Turkey into Europe to strengthen Russia's control of energy. So the argument was the EU is trying to grow and become a unified bloc to compete with the growth of China, and Russia was basically impeding us because Russia wants to be their own big dog, right?
Sure. Man, if you ever wanted to revisit a detailed breakdown of this, it'd be interesting to do a little bit of reading prior to this. But let's say hypothetically I grant you all of that. Why didn't Trump say any of that?
Trump doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Okay, so then Trump's investigation into the impetus for this whole conversation.
On the internet, bro.
Okay, so the impetus for this whole conversation of like Trump pressuring them to find out if any wrongdoings happened had nothing to do with anything that you just laid out. It was just having to do with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden.
It had to do with him seeing a video and then seeing people and post memes. Probably, to be completely honest, it was Tucker Carlson.
Sure.
Who said something.
But it was a little bit more than just asking questions, because if he was just curious, I don't think that the question of aid being withheld would have ever been brought up in that conversation. So clearly there was a little bit. You're saying that Biden wasn't seen as a political opponent at all, but if that was the case, I don't know why Trump would go so far to try to solicit information from the Ukrainian government such that he would withhold aid or threaten to withhold aid in exchange for some information about him.
You know,
seems like a random politician to target. Like, why would he be so dead set on getting information about
He
Biden?
hates the Democrats.
Does anybody else get to talk but him and Destiny? How does this work tonight?
I think it has to be a little bit more than that.
It's just like back and forth with them two all night.
I mean, you can think that, but I don't even care all that much about the speculation as to why he did it.
What the fuck is going on right now?
I think that's probably one of the most important parts. That is the most important part.
He won't shut the fuck up,
man. You guys have assumptions to get to that point. indictment.
He has to get the last word after every sentence.
Specifically with respect to a political opponent. I'm making assumptions. I feel like there's a lot more assumptions being made on your end that he was just genuinely interested in what Joe Biden had said and was threatening to withhold aid because he wanted a legitimate investigation of the firing of a prosecutor.
I mean,
are there other people there?
What we know is that he said, "What's going on with this video? I want to see some action on this, or else." Right?
I feel like there was a little bit more said than that, but I don't remember because it's been a long time.
Well, I'll try to paraphrase for the sake of
Sure, but I feel like the
specific requests he was making for information
are probably pretty important.
He has a huge fucking head. He thinks he's like the only one there with him.
I guess the reason I bring it up is not to just debate Trump or whatever, but to ask the question of
most important person.
Should we indict Joe Biden for doing the same thing?
I don't believe Joe Biden did the same thing, though. The request and who it was on behalf of was far different than...
But Joe Biden does not have the authority to threaten to withhold congressional
I don't know if Joe
aid.
Biden actually threatened to withhold aid.
But he admitted on camera that he did.
He said something on camera that I don't know if that's what he actually did. He literally said on
camera, I told him that if you don't fire the prosecutor, not $1 billion, and he said, you don't have the authority to do that. I said, call the president and ask him to see what he says.
All think they're more famous than actual famous people.
Trump also said on camera that he could shoot somebody on 6th Street and not get arrested for it.
But that's different from admitting to committing crimes.
I don't know if Biden admitted to a crime there or if he was just talking shit. Biden also was in front of an audience saying that he had, like 170 IQ and graduated from Harvard Law or something, right? He obviously didn't do that, right? So I don't know when Biden is on stage and like, I told him I was going to withhold it. I don't know if he's just like, got his big boy pants on and he's talking shit. If he actually did do that and he didn't have the authority to do it and it was on behalf of some selfish motive or whatever, then yeah, I think there should obviously be an investigation.
Why does he feel the need to talk so fucking fast?
Aside from the Ukrainian officials confirming that, and
there should be
everything relating to that. Yeah, but every time Republicans say there should be, and they go and look, they find nothing. Okay, but whether it's Benghazi, whether it's Hillary's emails, whether it's
we know the Hillary's email stuff was there. Like that's not even.
We don't know if Hillary Clinton gave a command to delete stuff that should have been deleted to impede an investigation. We don't know that.
We know what the charge would have been for. Sure. We know that she had a server with 35,000 emails on it. We know that her staff smashed cameras. We know that one of her staffers, I guess, went on Reddit and he said, "How can I purge emails with someone's name on it or something like that?"
Sure.
And like I think did he get charged or something?
I don't know. I think he was granted immunity in exchange for information.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
It's like they're in competition.
That happened, like some dude on Reddit found the account, and they were like, I think this guy works.
Sure, but the crime that we were looking for was whether or not Hillary Clinton ordered classified emails to be deleted.
Slowed down dramatically.
Like that was, we spent a whole lot of time talking about that. And for all the complaining that we do about a judge indicting Trump or intelligence agencies interfering in elections, Comey coming out and making the statements that he did about Hillary Clinton were not only unprecedented, but also potentially election altering too. So, I mean,
do you think Barack Obama ordering a drone strike that killed an American citizen warrants an investigation of that?
There might have already been an investigation. I don't know what the vetting process inside of orders from the government.
Well, like whether there was or wasn't. Do you think there should have been?
Yeah, there probably always should be when there's collateral damage. Didn't it happen? Was it in Afghanistan or Pakistan? Wasn't there a hospital that we accidentally bombed like a year and a half ago, I think?
Probably.
Where I think like 20 or 30 people died and it was all civilians.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, anytime something like that happens, there should obviously be some type of oversight. But that's different between like, there needs to be a criminal charge for an intentionally destructive act done, right? Do you agree that there's a world of difference between Biden ordered an American citizen killed overseas versus American citizen dies as a result of collateral damage from a drone strike? Those two things are worlds apart, right?
Well, the added context is we're not at war with this country, and it
doesn't matter. There's still, even if we aren't at war with the country, there's still worlds apart, right?
So we'll slow down for a second.
Sure. My question is very simply: if
the authority granted to the president does not extend to bombing any random country.
Well, it seems like that's not where we're at legally right now, right?
I think it's not where we're at because the American people don't do anything about it.
Did we vote in Congress to bomb the Syrian airport when Trump returned fire for whatever gas attacks?
No, but I think there's something different to an active war zone we do have troops on the ground in, and I don't agree with Trump
we're not at war with Syria.
We have ground troops. We haven't declared a war since World War II. I don't.
Sure, but we didn't even have a UA extended use of for
I don't agree with Trump's firing.
Sure, I'm just saying that like if an American citizen even would have died on the base, yeah, I'm just saying that we're not voting for war in these areas, right? We're still bombing them. So it seems like if you're asking me a moral question versus a legal question, those are two different things. If you're asking me legally, it seems like that seems to be that the president can indeed order drone strikes on places that we're not at war with. That seems to be where we're at legally right now. Morally, should he be able to? I don't know. I don't know what the justification is for that, but
let's jump to this next story from the Tampa Bay Times. DeSantis says Florida will not assist in possible Trump extradition after indictment. The Florida governor weighed in on Twitter. He said, the weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head. It is un-American. The Soros-backed Manhattan DA has consistently bent the law to downgrade felonies and to excuse criminal misconduct. Yet now he is, and there's a second tweet here. Where is it at? Wait, oh, okay. Yet now he is stretching the law to target a political opponent. Florida will not assist in an extradition request given the questionable circumstances at issue with the Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor and his political agenda. What are your thoughts?
Is he actually Soros-backed?
I think so.
Or was it that, like, because I thought that the actual thing was like George Soros contributed to a PAC that has also contributed to him. I think it's a little different, but regardless. Yeah,
but even outside of that, I mean, Ron DeSantis saying we're not going to allow. What is he saying?
They're not going to extradite, right? Is what it sounds like.
Well, did he even really say that? He said, "Will not assist in the extradition." It's like a pretty tepid statement, to be completely honest. So I don't even know if there's an actual question to be asked. Should Florida assist in the extradition? Like, does it matter?
Well, it kind of matters. I think it matters based on the precedent of the crime. If this is a crime that they wouldn't normally extradite for, then they probably don't have an obligation to, right? Like, I don't think California would extradite me if I had like an outstanding speeding ticket in Iowa, right? Yeah. Well, this might be a similar thing where they don't extradite. But if there was like if somebody like did a double homicide and Florida's like, we're not going to extradite them, that'd probably be a pretty big deal. But yeah. I don't know for a crime like this if extradition is ordinary or not.
Donald Trump, what's the charge that he falsified a legal bill?
It's that he falsified a legal bill, but it has to be something more than that, right? Because that charge in and of itself is a misdemeanor that the statute of limitations would have expired on. So it's that he falsified that legal bill in the commission or the obscurement of another crime. I don't know what that other crime is, right?
I think it's related to election stuff. The argument was that it pertained to campaign finance, or they used campaign funds to do it or something like that. Yeah. Because Cohen billed Trump campaign or whatever. But I guess we'll see when the indictment comes out if they're stretching this up to a felony. My view is it's all overtly political, and this country is being ripped to shreds. So I don't know if it really matters whether DeSantis is going to do anything or not. It's whether we can have a debate about it or not, no one's going to agree. The end result is just going to be people on the right saying that Trump is being politically persecuted, and people on the left saying it's justice.
Well, it only matters for the primary because DeSantis this whole time has been trying to position himself as Trump without the bad stuff. That's sort of his whole brand.
Who the hell?
But
where's this guy come from?
This more and more, you're going to see that DeSantis really
There's
isn't a Trump guy. He's going to try and make his own brand of sort of Trumpism, but with some other stuff. And I think a lot of the hardcore Trump people like myself, I was a day one 2016 supporter. Right when he came down the golden escalators, I was already sold. But a lot of people that I know in D.C. or in sort of these other circles, they think, oh, well, we should move on from Trump. It's time for DeSantis to take over. But I mean, the reality is this whole thing is only going to help Trump. I think the mugshot, it's going to be on T-shirts. It's going to be art. Like, people are going to love it. On the left, they're loving it because they think, oh, we finally got him. We got the handcuffs on Donald Trump. But on the right, they're just going to think he's a martyr.
Can I play this video from Dash Dabrowski?
Yeah.
Please. I think I got to turn it down.
And why does he get to be on here?
Indicted in Manhattan. The grand jury just voted to indict Donald Trump for his hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. This is big news.
I don't know if he realizes, like, if he's in control of his moves when he goes. What is he? Been indicted. He tilts his head forward and he gets shadow under his eyes and looks real villainous for a second.
What is it called? The Kubrick stare?
Comes back up. Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm sorry. I think
highly entertaining.
Fucking, you're a dorky, and shut the fuck up.
I mean, obviously,
yeah,
he's been doing this for money.
When it comes to stuff like this, I think it's really important that you mentally swap the people out in your head to figure out how you feel about it, because we have a huge problem right now in this country with actually having principled positions on any fucking issue whatsoever. So I think that when people are trying to think, like, should Trump get arrested for this, like, think like if it was Hillary Clinton, would you feel the same? If it was AOC, would you feel the same? If it was DeSantis, would you feel the same? I think it's really important to do these mental swaps to check for honesty, to make sure that it's not just, like you said, like all partisan politics at the end of the day.
I agree.
Especially when legal systems are involved.
I agree, but I don't think it's principles. I don't think anyone's principled.
Do I need to see that shit? No.
But I'm not saying that.
I am too.
I'm not saying that from like a dejected, sense, or like a not like, I'm jaded and blackpilled. I'm saying it that people genuinely don't understand the moral philosophies around principles and their positions. So the example I often give is when it came to Florida on the parental rights and education bill, you had conservatives being like, parents have the final say in whether or not their kids are being exposed to this stuff and whether or not their kids are going to get the around principles and their positions. So the example I often give is when it came to Florida on the parental rights and education bill, you had conservatives being like, parents have the final say in whether or not their kids are being exposed to this stuff and whether or not their kids are going to get these treatments. The teachers have no right to withhold that information from the parents. And then my response is, in Washington, they completely agree that The parents have final say. So when the parent says the child should get sex change surgery, the government should not be allowed to intervene to stop it. You see the point? The principle is the same.
You just said that
should
last
parents
night.
have final say? So both conservatives and left liberals or whatever position have a differing view of when it should be allowed. When it comes to a child deciding they are trans, the left passes laws saying they can withhold that from parents.
I need to get a sub on D-Live,
when it comes to parents wanting to give their children sex change surgery, conservatives argue this.
He's literally fucking going over it the same way he went over it last night, dude. I'm fucking done with this fucking idiot, dude. He's a quasi-intelligent. You know what I mean? He's semi-intelligent. He's like mildly retarded, but then he's like Rain Man sometimes.
Of people have different moral standards. That's it.
Yeah, but I think the problem is not being honest about those moral standards. Like, I think that's the issue, because when we argue for certain principles, I think everybody ends up, at the end of the day, we're all attacking like the shadows and the ghosts of the people that we're arguing against, because nobody actually believes in a lot of the things they're saying, and that hurts our ability to actually move the conversation forward. Like, there's a lot of people, for instance, I think I
as long as you're smarter than your viewers, you're a genius. A lot of
conservatives that fucking hated red flag laws, and now after this trans shooting, a whole bunch of conservatives are like, well, should mentally ill people have guns? I'm not actually sure. And it's like, what changed?
And that's exactly my point.
Yeah,
is that the principles don't apply to most people, left or right.
Sure, it's but then there are principles there. You just have to dig a little bit deeper. So like for some conservatives, the principle is like, fuck trans people. I don't want them to have any rights. Rather than like, I don't agree with like red flag laws. And we just have to get to like the deeper positions where they actually are, so we can fight against those positions.
See, my thing with red flag laws is I'm completely in favor of them. So long.
Did the motherfucker hyperactivity talking throws me the fuck off from everything. I'll be trying to listen to what the fuck they're talking about, but him feeling the need to sound like the Micro Machine Man throws me off. I'm just gonna be real. It's not because I can't keep up with them. It's because I'm just like, why are you making me do this right now? Like, you know what I mean? Why are you being so fucking selfish that you're making me try to differentiate what the fuck you're saying at 1,000,000 miles per hour? Fuck you, asshole. You know, that's how I feel about it mentally. So I had to stop listening to him.
Long as they have an adversarial due process. The problem with red flag laws, literally, is that they're not adversarial. It's like someone can go to a judge, the judge can issue a writ and just come and take your guns. Whereas due process requires your rights to confront an accuser, to file a rebuttal, to say no, and then actually have a chance to have proper adjudication. So I used to not be in favor of it until it was actually conservatives who argued that through due process, your rights can be curtailed. Hence, like being put in prison. If you break the law and then a court gives you due process and says you broke the law, we can literally lock you in a box and take everything away from you. And I'm like, okay, fair point. In that case, if you're mentally ill and then someone files a claim saying you're a risk to yourself and harm to yourself or others, then you should have the right to receive a notice in the mail, answer that claim, reject it, and then have a judge actually issue a standard due process. If you're in prison, you can't have guns. You know what I mean? Like so if there is some standard by which we believe you are a threat and you are going to cause harm, then you have a right to challenge that in court, same as any other criminal charge you have. And then if you lose, come take your guns.
Sure. And I think that is a defensible, that argument is defensible. But it's not defensible if it only comes up when a trans person goes on a shooting spree. That's not really right. So I think like because there's a lot of arguments against red flag laws that are still standing. That like those arguments didn't go away. Like, I'm probably against red flag laws. I lean slightly against them just because I feel like it makes it so hard. If you're a guy that likes guns and you've got like mental issues, man, going to a therapist becomes really fucking scary. Yeah. Because what if you get a diagnosis that is now precluding you from owning firearms? And now you've got to show up in court and you've got to fight a judge for your Second Amendment right, which is a very important one in the United States. That gets hairy. And depending on how people represent red flag laws or what type they're pushing for. Yeah, it is a really scary thing, but I'm just saying that. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a challenge.
It reminds me of the. Do you guys know BoJack Horseman?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like that scene with the saying the women carry guns, and she's in front of Congress, and she's like, well, if you don't want women to carry guns because you're worried about what's going to happen, then you either have to ban all guns, or you've got to let women do, and they like ban all guns. It's like, okay, well that's kind of what it feels like happened with the transgender thing with the after the shooting. Where conservatives are like all of a sudden, they're like, well, maybe it is really important that we look at the mental health of people that have guns, and like everyone on the left is like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, of course, but.
Well, I agree. I think if someone goes on Prozac, you could argue that they're not mentally well for a gun. If someone's an alcoholic,
that's like 25% of fucking Americans at this point, though.
Yeah,
pharmaceuticals.
That's scary. And there's another interesting thing. I talk about when I was in L.A. in Venice, and you got those guys selling weed cards, and they're like, I'm walking down the street going to the skate park, and this guy goes, yeah, man, you get your weed card yet? You get your weed card? And I'm like, no, I'm a weed card. He's like, why not? Why don't you have your weed card? And I'm like, I don't need one. He's like, I'm not sick. And he goes, oh, well, you skateboard, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, don't you like hurt your legs or whatever? And I was like, yeah, sometimes my knees. And he goes, oh, bro, you got knee problems? Oh, you need some weed. You gotta get a weed card. Doctor will get you signed up. Not interested. you get that weed card, you smoke weed, you are ineligible. You can't own a gun.
Maybe for physical pain, you could get away with it, but if you say it's stress, you're
no.
Wait. Is that true? Or are you saying it could theoretically be true with red flag laws?
On the form, it asks you if you are a user of narcotics. And so the risk is if you have a weed prescription card, yes, you are. And that means you will be ineligible for owning a gun.
That's insane.
Huh.
Yeah, so you ever see what are they called? The forms you fill out when you have to buy a gun? It asks you if you're a user of narcotics.
And they have it classified federally as a Schedule 1 narcotic.
Right. It's like the worst possible one. If you have a weed card, I don't think you'll be able to argue you weren't lying. They're going to say, you have a weed card prescription, like, to do this drug.
There's no shot. I can't believe that.
I've never heard it. That's actually real. That anyone's ever had their guns taken away because they had a weed card. I've never heard that. I can see that argument, though.
You know what? I know that's not the case, because if that was, I would have heard conservatives complaining. I would complain about it.
They want Hunter Biden arrested over it.
I thought
because
it
he filled
happens
out a
in
form and said he
California.
wasn't a drug user when he's a crackhead.
Okay, that actually does happen in California. If you get in the state system, there's two different systems here in California. You can get a medical card, and that's a doctor system. That's doctor privilege. You can't. They can't get that information, and they can't take your guns away because it's doctor privilege information. But if you get in the state system and say I'm a medical patient, then they can inhibit your right to own a gun. And here's the thing: that's the only way to get a tax break now on weed bot purchases. I'm a medical patient. I used to get a tax break before it went recreational for being a medical patient. But once it went recreational, you had to get in the state system to get the tax break, as well as there are far more taxes now for everybody since it went recreational, not just medical, but for once it went recreational, taxes increased like 20% for medical and 30% total for recreational. And it's 30% for everybody unless you have the state card, and then they can take your guns away.
No, but that's
literally why they want him arrested.
For Hunter Biden?
Hunter
They'll
Biden
pay
filled out
you
a
for
form.
your
The form was
guns,
released
pretty
publicly,
much.
and on it he said he was not a drug user, despite
the 4473 for a gun?
The background check form for a gun. It asks you if you're a user of narcotics.
I feel like they wanted him arrested because they said that he's doing illegal dealings overseas where he's roping his father into the...
Specifically for the gun issue, it was like his girlfriend or whatever, his wife threw the gun in a dumpster behind a school.
Did they accurately date the crack use, though, for when he filled out the form?
That was the question.
That's really important.
Is the argument he quit doing crack a long time ago, thus he was saying no, and the argument was he's like still a crackhead. They found a crack pipe in his car around some time or whatever. And so I am not saying overtly and outright every single person, whoever has a weed card, will never be able to buy a gun again. I'm saying if they want grounds to take your weapons and you have had a weed card, they will come, they will have a notice, and they will say, look, you have a weed card, you're a user, tell it to a judge, we're taking your guns. They'll use it as a pretext. Wait, hold on. Okay, I looked up the 4470 things. I'm curious now. So it says, so it says, are you an unlawful user of marijuana? So I would say if you've got the card, you're probably not unlawful, but federally, if it's a federal form, maybe you would be. You would absolutely be. They actually say on the form, I'm pretty sure it says note, regardless of local laws. See what it says? It says that, right?
Yeah, it says possession of marijuana remains unlawful under federal law, regardless of whether it's been legal. Oh, shit, well, government's coming for my gun soon.
Completely insane.
You're like, oh, crap.
This country is built on the back of hemp, man. Look at George Washington's eyes on the $1 bill. He's so
Although I will say, I've never heard of like the ATF cross-referencing databases to like axe guns from people that have like legal marijuana cards or whatever.
But they can if they want to.
Theoretically,
right?
maybe.
We got news, ladies and gentlemen. We have information on the Trump indictment. Breaking. Trump indicted reportedly on 34 counts related to falsifying business records. The indictment stems from Trump allegedly falsifying records concerning $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, in 2016. CNN reports they were informed of the number of indictments by an unnamed source. So we take that with a grain of salt. Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen pleaded guilty, yada, yada, yada. Let's play the clip from CNN. Do we have audio here?
My source is that this is 34 counts of falsification of business records, which is probably a lot of charges involving each document, each thing that was submitted as a separate count in a couple of matters.
Okay, well, that's it.
Is that like if he's like, yeah, and then he responds?
It has to be more than that.
More than what?
It has to be more than just counts of falsifying business records, I think. It has to be something election related to keep it to go past the misdemeanor thing, I think.
I'm gonna agree. I think it's definitely gonna be more than just the Stormy Daniels thing.
Falsifying business records, is that like if they're in an email chain and he's like, are you sure? And then he sends an email, he's like, responds yes. And then he's like, okay, then is that 3 counts?
My guess is gonna be that I think he was paid back. Wasn't it over a year period or a 2-year period? The falsifying business record, like let's say that I paid you bi-weekly over an entire year, right? It would be 26 different payments that I'm lying about. So it'd probably be 26 separate counts of falsifying records. That'd be my guess. But again, then it has to be more than just falsifying records, because that's only a misdemeanor and the statute of limitations expired. And it's a fucking misdemeanor. Why would we charge a president over an ex-president for a misdemeanor? That's the most insane thing. It has to be something different. Conservatives. It has to be something more than that. It has to be something more than that. But
I agree. I think it's gonna be worse than people think. Right now, everyone's saying it's a Stormy Daniels thing. I bet it's gonna be something else.
Something completely different.
I don't know about completely different, but it's gonna be.
It's got to be related to like campaign fund misappropriation or.
Well, the question
something.
is, will it be dubious or will it be questionable or will it be airtight? You know what I mean? Yeah. I kind of feel like it's probably going to be dubious. I mean, Ukraine Gate as it was, and Mueller and Russia and all that stuff did not pan out.
Hey,
in terms of indictments, we have a lot of good indictments came from the Mueller investigation.
No, I mean like Trump isn't a Russian spy. He wasn't working with the Soviets.
Oh, probably.
Nothing was born of those things. You know, I mean, I feel like this is just like they're going to spin their wheels. Trump's going to fundraise off it. He's going to raise record amounts of money. There's going to be a mug shot that will turn into T-shirts. People will get rich off of it. Donald Trump will win the election in 2024, and then we'll not even talk about this moment later on.
Does this kind of thing give people the right to go deeper into his life and look for things and serve subpoenas and warrants and things? To like look at emails from 20 years ago? Does it open up old?
I would hope that prosecutors are being intelligent when it comes to charging somebody that's going to run for president. It's not even the fact he's a former president, it's that he's going to run for president. The absolute worst case scenario for the health of this country is that Donald Trump gets indicted, charged, and convicted of something that's not really that big of a deal, that somehow inhibits his ability to run for office. Because now you've justified every single conservative that thinks that the system is trying to keep him out using judicial means. The left doesn't even get to feel good. Because, like, let's be honest, let's say he goes to jail for something really stupid, like lying about, paying off a porn star. Like, you don't even feel good. I wanted him to go down for like the P tapes for the Putin stuff, right? Not for this bullshit. So or BS. So I hope they're sitting on something good. Otherwise, they have to realize they're making the entire United States look like a joke. Like,
I don't think there's going to be anything there. I mean, it's been years. They've known about this for years, and they've not done anything. So it really just feels politically expedient.
And they just disbanded the grand jury 2 days ago or something for a month.
Today, they announced it was going on break for a month, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way.
That's so weird. I have a question for you, Stephen. If it's kind of off topic, but it's somewhat on topic. Like this, I'm talking about the war in Ukraine and the Russian war. What do you think is the solution to ending this or to the future?
Well, wait, hold on. First question is, how do you feel about the war in Ukraine?
I'm happy Ukraine is winning. I hope they get back Crimea. Fuck Russia.
So what do you think would be a solution to make that happen?
Ukraine winning the war and getting back Crimea and saying fuck Russia.
What's define winning the war?
Getting back Crimea. Having their borders restored to what they were in 1991 when they broke off from the Soviet Union and when the entire world recognized the country as having the borders that it did, that included the Donbass and included Crimea.
Oh man, well, there's a lot of people. Some of my friends think that same thing.
What's the, I suppose, justification for U.S. involvement?
Justification for U.S. involvement is probably that like the stability of Europe is potentially at risk, that we are seeing an actor engaged in actions that haven't happened in decades, where one sovereign state invades another sovereign state to steal territory from them. It's just something that we don't really see around the world anymore, especially in Europe. And I think that the opposition to that should be led by the United States. I think it's important for us to be seen as a leader of the world to do that.
Would you be in favor of a similar military response if it came to Taiwan?
Taiwan and Hong Kong are so much more complicated, and I'm not well versed enough in the history to know if I would feel the same for that.
The stability Taiwan, of Southeast Asia and the region, you know what I mean?
True, but I think that our responsibility, the presence we have, and the relationships we have with Southeast Asia. I mean, we do have good relationships with South Korea and Japan, but it's different than Europe. But I would have to read up way more on Taiwanese history and the deals that China has carved out with respecting the autonomy of Taiwan to know if I would feel the same way about defending them militarily versus Ukraine. But I feel very strongly about Ukraine, understanding the Ukrainian history and everything, that their borders should be respected.
Do you think the $100 billion price tag is justified?
I think a really big price tag is justified. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue to know the difference between like 100 billion versus 1 trillion versus 500 billion dollars, but I think that it is worth it for the United States to be making heavy investments into the security of Europe. I think that position that we have as like the leader of the Western world and leading those efforts to protect Ukraine is really important.
Would you go to Ukraine and fight the Russians?
Fuck no.
Would you send other people's kids there to fight Russians?
U.S. troops in Ukraine fighting Russians is probably something I would not support.
Well, what about special forces doing operations to assist Ukrainians?
I don't think so.
Well, what about?
I'd have to think a lot. Well, like, what does special forces mean? Like, if we're talking about like people going over to like train troops, maybe. Like, for instance, if we're sending weapon systems over there and we're sending troops over there to train them use those weapon systems, that might be important so that those weapon systems don't misfire or they're crashing planes up in a
and they did
some shit. They did do it one time. Yes, they did.
What about the U.S. using reconnaissance measures and surveillance to provide intelligence to the Ukrainians to then have the Ukrainians use the weapons we provided to, say, sink the Russian flagship in the Black Sea?
I think so far, I think that's been fair game. I think that a lot of people around the world share intelligence, and that's probably just a given at this point. Us sharing intelligence with Ukraine is probably no different than China or Russia sharing intel with each other as well.
What about former U.S. military, now veterans, fighting on the ground in Ukraine using U.S. intelligence, U.S. weapons, and U.S. funding to assist Ukrainians in, say, like sinking ships and stuff
I think
like
it sounds silly, but I think there is a distinction that they are former U.S. military. The scary part about U.S. troops and Russian troops shooting at each other is the potential for escalation into all of us getting blown up. But if a former U.S. military person gets killed by a Russian troop, that's a Ukrainian soldier, that former U.S., it is what it is.
Do you really think Russia is going like, well, they're not really a U.S. military, so we're not going to do anything about it?
Absolutely.
I disagree.
I think there's a huge difference between that guy used to be part of the U.S. military who's fighting Ukraine versus there are armed U.S. troops on the ground. There's a whole escalatory pathway for U.S. soldiers in Ukraine.
You think Putin cares?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, they just took down one of our drones, whether it was an accident or not. They did a fuel spray on it.
Sure.
And then clipped
and we do dumb shit like that to each other sometimes when it happens, but they're having uniformed U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine would be a massive escalation.
Do you think Russia is going to allow Ukraine to win?
Is Russia going to allow Ukraine to win? Well, I mean, they've allowed them to get as far as they have so far.
But now they're positioning nukes north of Ukraine and Belarus.
I heard the strategic nuclear weapons being moved into Belarus. I don't know why. I don't know if that's posturing.
The UK is deploying depleted uranium tank busters, which are radioactive. Russia responded by saying, we warned you that if you use depleted uranium, that's nuclear escalation. And now they're moving nukes.
Sure, but they've been talking about nuclear escalation for like 2 years.
But then they did it, and now Russia is sending nukes into the region.
Sure, into Belarus, yeah. But like, are they actually going to start using? I don't think Russia's going to. I don't think so. I don't think Russia's going to use.
The mistake people make is they assume nuke means 100 megaton ICBMs.
It doesn't happen. Even strategic nuclear weapons, I think, would be
nuclear artillery.
Unbelievable. Depleted uranium is different than firing nukes.
No, I'm talking about nuclear shells. I'm talking about.
I don't think they're going to be firing nuclear shells. I don't think they'll be firing small yield. No Davy Crockett's. No exotic miniature nuclear arms. I don't think that'll happen.
You don't think that, huh? You don't think?
I don't even think China. I don't think anybody would support Russia in those types of actions.
I disagree.
You think that China would support Russia? You think that?
Yes, hands down.
This guy's a moron.
I think the U.S. has already lost position. Brazil, was it Brazil and China just announced that they're going to be trading outside of U.S. dollars? Yes, China's brokered a deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Like, the U.S. is in such a fractured position right now.
Hey, not that you ladies that
I'm
like
pretty
that
sure China's
just
going to be like, sucks to be you, United States.
I don't think it's about being in a fractured position. I think it's about, I don't think anybody wants to be in a country where people are shooting nuclear weapons, including China and everybody else in the world.
But I think it's going to be in Ukraine. This is what I'm saying. The U.S. will not... This was brought up by I think it was an EU politician. He said, if Russia uses lower yield nukes in Ukraine, the West will not respond with similar nuclear weapons or greater.
Because who cares what a EU politician says, though?
He said, no, who was this? It was like a UN guy or something.
It wasn't the U.S. president. UN has no fucking.
No one is going to risk. What did he say? He says no one's going to risk like Warsaw for Kiev.
Is that what
no one. If Vladimir Putin escalates the conflict in Ukraine, Western forces will not escalate to the point where they would put their home countries at risk. They will keep the conflict in Ukraine.
Well, of course, but Ukraine's not a NATO country, so all we'll do is send stuff to help. But we're not going to be putting troops there. We're not going to be flying planes over there.
What they were saying is that if Putin uses nukes in Ukraine, the West will not fire nukes on Russia in return.
Fire nukes on Russia in return? I don't believe so. But wasn't Biden's initial claim that we'd be destroying like their fleet in the Black Sea or something if they were doing?
Well, we took out their flagship.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I wouldn't look to a UN or an EU politician to speak on behalf of the U.S. military or what the U.S. is willing to do, because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters, right?
I agree with your principle that countries shouldn't be invading and colonizing territory, but then I look at what the U.S. did the last 20 years in Iraq.
We haven't done anything even remotely similar. We didn't take any territory.
They're not on our border. We have a puppet state in Iraq. We have corporations set up in Libya like
Iraq holds their own elections. Iraq is its own country. We didn't take any territory from them. We didn't declare any of this. Like, this is now part of the United States. It's a totally different scenario from what's happening in Ukraine and Russia.
We removed the Ba'ath Party from power, which caused ISIS to appear, But I mean, you could say it's it's legit, but it's a puppet state.
I'm not saying it's legit, but I don't think we can call it a puppet state. I don't think it's fair. They hold their own elections. They are their own country. We might not like it. We did remove Saddam Hussein. We did ban the Ba'ath Party from reforming. That is true. But we didn't we didn't come in and say, like, we're going to carve off this part as like New Connecticut.
Right.
It's part of the United States now. That's an insane thing to do. Yeah. That's an insane thing to do. We haven't done that. Russia went into Ukraine and they took territory. This is Russia now. That hasn't happened in so long. It's an unprecedented action in this age, post 91, post Soviet Union. That's insane.
Yeah, I think of it as like after the Soviet Union broke up, the oligarchs split it all up and they took away the warm water port from Russia because they didn't want to be a global hegemon. They were like, no, we're going to give Sevastopol to Ukraine now. Russia's landlocked and they can have their other. And it'd be like in the U.S. if they took the West Coast and took a long strip down the West Coast of the U.S. and gave it to Canada, and we had no Pacific access. That at some point the U.S. would be like, this is insane, and we're going to invade and take Pacific access. And that's where I see the Russians coming from.
Well, how? They recognize the border. That's the country. You might not like it, but
it's just de facto, like
it's not de facto. It'd be like, what if Canada was like, we really want Alaska? This is bullshit. It's not even connected to the U.S. We're going to take this. You can't do that. That's the border.
Try.
They could try.
De facto, if we didn't have West Coast access,
I wish they'd fucking try.
The Canadians.
Well, yeah, no,
God, I would just love to win a war against Canada.
And it would give us pretext to seize Canada. We would end up taking Canada and annexing it into the United States.
No more land acknowledgement.
We invaded, overthrew Gaddafi.
We did that, but we did that with authorization through fucking.
Kevin T, you're alive.
I'm pretty sure Gaddafi was so bad. I think even China would abstain from voting no on that one. But again, I'm just saying that. Here's what I'm trying to say. There's something very unique in particular. I'm not saying that because I know there's people swinging out probably saying, oh, he wants Iraq and Afghanistan, blah blah. I'm not saying those invasions were good. I'm not saying our occupation was good. But I'm saying there's something fundamentally different from invading a country and taking territory from this land is mine now. Even in Iraq, even in Afghanistan, where we were for 7,000 years, we didn't actually say this is U.S. territory now. Right? There were people there. They ran. They did their elections. They did their things. Eventually, we left. But like, it's not U.S. territory. Whereas that has happened with Crimea. And
we almost took Mexico. I was watching this documentary on what was it, the Mexican-American War. And then Americans were actually in favor of just taking it, and we won. But then the president at the time, I can't remember who it was, Polk or something. He was like, nah, Mexico can stay Mexico.
The tactic the liberal economic order has been using is
we took Texas and stuff.
It's corporate colonization. California. They took out Gaddafi, set up the U.S. dollar, and all these American corporations like Sidney Blumenthal's Osprey Global Solutions. Hillary made sure that he got his defense contract in Libya. So they say, no, we're not taking that land. But it is profiting us massively because we have it set up as a corporate.
Sure, I mean, everything profits us. But I mean, that's a fundamentally different thing again from like taking the land and being like, we're going to...
I would argue that colonizing corporately overseas is much worse than taking a piece of land on your border.
But it's still way different.
It's different, yeah.
It's different than like, this is U.S. land that we are now administering legally, and this is our land now.
But if you legally say it's okay to invade and take something over, it doesn't make it okay to invade and take it over just because you said it was legal.
Sure.
You guys are going in circles.
Yeah, okay.
Let's jump to domestic stories.
We're going in spirals, Tim.
Here we go. Forward. From the Daily Mail.
Threats yet. Yeah, okay.
NYPD orders full mobilization plan. All uniformed officers are on standby as extra manpower is deployed to Ring of Steel around Manhattan's DA's office amid fears of violence after Trump's indictment. I really don't think that New York City is MAGA country enough to the point that they have to worry about a bunch of Trump supporters showing up to the Manhattan DA's office.
I feel bad about deleting Proud Souls comments.
I'm worried they're going to march all down into the tunnels for drills next. And then we know what happens. Have you seen The Dark Knight Rises?
Oh, that's right. And then they're going to release all the inmates from their jails.
True.
Oh, man.
I've seen The Warriors. Yeah, jeez.
Well, I wonder what New York would be like if, like, I don't know, 8,000 people committed violence were just released.
All those COVID patients going to come crawling out of the old person's homes. Those power electric chairs.
They live underground.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, I find this funny because let me see if I have this tweet somewhere. Where is it?
I think people are just like so paranoid. They just don't want to risk it. Right? Like January 6th was such a disaster, and it was a disaster at like multiple levels of failing to be ready for what was going to happen. I think for New York, they're probably saying like better safe than sorry, because oh my God, if something got repeated where they weren't ready, it's just going to look so bad on everybody involved. You know?
Sure, we have this video coming out of Tennessee where a bunch of leftists stormed the Capitol and fought with police. They actually made their way into the chamber.
Tennessee, dude.
In what conservatives are calling an insurrection. So, I mean, that's basically it. Look, they're fighting the cops and people are getting arrested. And it happened in Kentucky, too. But like this happens all the time. I mean, it's funny. There were numerous protests by the left where they actually were banging on the doors of the Supreme Court, or actually went inside to the congressional buildings and shut down legislative sessions, and they were never considered that big of a deal. And even right now, it's like the media's not covering this like it's that big of a deal to shut down your capital. State capitals, I guess, don't matter. I don't know what.
Well, it matters, but just how much does it matter?
The media is covering it, right? That was a video by the media, right?
Yeah, someone posted it with Kelsey
Greg
Gibbs.
Price.
Yeah, Kelsey Gibbs posted it and then deleted it. Greg Price got a copy of it and reposted it. And then maybe she reposted it again.
That'd be sweet.
It looked like it really wasn't super violent. I don't think anyone got hurt. I can't
Typically,
tell.
what we mean when we say like the news doesn't cover it is that like sure, local outlets may run the story, but is it getting headline attention? Is it getting prime time attention?
What do you mean? Take care.
It didn't shut down the authorization of the new president of the United States, which was what January 6th was. They were trying to like slow or stop the counting of the votes to get Biden elected or something like that. So it was like a federal election. That was what made that one such a big deal. Plus, it was high profile.
Yeah, it was kind of goaded on by our president. I think it was a big deal too.
He did say Donald Trump was involved in setting it up directly. Not the violence, but
peacefully march to listen to politicians.
Yeah, just getting the people in the vicinity. He was part of that.
I think it was when he said for months that they were going to steal our election from us, and we need to fight like hell to keep it. I think it was more that than the march peacefully thing. But
he said march peacefully, and there was a permitted rally at the Capitol.
This is wild.
Okay. How can you go? Okay, we're backing up a little bit.
Yeah,
how can you take the one thing that Biden said on stage one time as definitive proof that he was actually trying to withhold aid, but the numerous
said he did,
and Trump literally said that we don't fight like not storm the Capitol. He didn't say storm the Capitol in those exact words.
And Biden said in the exact fight.
He said we don't fight. Like, what does fight mean?
If Joe Biden said,
"Be obese and stand at the Capitol,"
it's not an argument. If Joe Biden said on stage, "Could you imagine if I told this guy I did this?" and everyone went, "Oh." No, he literally said he did a thing. And we're like, hey, if he said he did that, we should investigate. Trump said fight. And then later, now go march peacefully. It's like, well, those are metaphors. The left says fight all the time. We don't mean physically. We mean spiritually. We mean politically.
It's that was followed up by months of saying that, like, we're going to steal the election from you. You have to fight to save your country. Like, you don't think that type of rhetoric can directly lead to people saying, like, our election is being stolen, like Trump said it was being stolen, and we need to fight, like, go to the Capitol and fight to save our country?
In that line, do you blame trans activists for calling for fighting when this person went and shot up a church or a grade school?
For the trans shooter?
Yeah. I mean, they've been saying it's genocide nonstop over and over again, and they've been saying get up weapons and you have to fight. It's
but I don't know why. Right? I don't know why that shooter did the shooting. Do you?
So the police said there's a manifesto, and that
they did say that.
The working theory is it's related to the identity of the shooter.
Okay, you said two. Wait. You said two totally different things. Are the police saying that it was?
Yes.
Okay.
So I read. I want to be very specific.
Yeah. I'd be curious because I read 4 different articles. I was trying to find out was anything from this manifesto released. I know the media is saying they should release it.
They will.
My understanding is the police has not commented on the material in the manifesto yet. What did they say about it specifically?
It was the police chief. I guess he was asked specifically, did the gender identity of the shooter play a role? And he says the theory is that is the case. We're investigating, et cetera, et cetera.
I heard that.
That's actually what he said.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Like, because it could mean what you're saying. So let's say that in the manifesto, they're saying things like, I've been watching a whole bunch of YouTube commentators like Vosh saying that there is a trans genocide and I need to go and take action to prevent that. Then I would say that's horrible. And people that are saying it, actually, even if they didn't say that, the people that are saying there's a trans genocide and we need to fight should be held accountable. I think that's a bad thing. If you believe in stochastic terrorism, I think that that's definitely that. But if it's something like where the person is like, oh, like I'm trans and people in my life don't accept me, I'm going to go shoot up a school, I think that's meaningfully different than inspired by rhetoric from people calling for violence, right?
Like, I can easily understand what he's saying and
these protests from far leftists like at the Capitol,
why are you making me do this right now? Why are you doing this?
The storming of those capitals is the fault of people like Vosh.
You're an asshole.
I don't know if Vosh ever said that.
My understanding is the storming of those capitals was for gun reform.
Kentucky was trans rights. They were holding up trans rights signs.
Was it trans rights?
Absolutely.
I thought they were doing it in response to the shooting.
Sure. But no. Kentucky was that they're banning. I think it was Kentucky, right? They're banning.
It might have been in Kentucky for Tennessee. I think it was for firearms, right?
Tennessee was firearms, but it overlapped with that issue. It was primarily a firearms protest. So let's just say Kentucky, the storming of the Capitol there, where they were in the gallery and they're being arrested and they're holding up trans signs.
People watching the stream right now.
The suspense of that, the inhibition of that legislative session and the storming of that Capitol is the result, is the fault of leftist activists saying take up arms and go fight.
Sure. If somebody is storming buildings, I think they should be held legally accountable. They're trespassing. They absolutely should be. And I think that people that are using alarmist rhetoric to get people to go and fight, whether that's Donald Trump or whether that's far left people on YouTube, I think should also be. Yeah, he does it all the time. It's one of the things. Yeah, of course.
You got to be careful.
Hassan does it, but he says only in video games.
Well, unless it's an imminent call. It's a little, like vague calls like, hey, go do this thing. That's not illegal. That's protected First Amendment. But if you say, on this day, this time, do this thing, then that's an imminent threat. I understand that's illegal under the First Amendment.
The issue that I have is a general alarmist rhetoric. Where there's a lot of people saying that there's a trans genocide incoming, so buy firearms. That feels a little bit like great replacement rhetoric, except on the left instead of the right to me. Where people on the right sometimes will say things like, immigrants are invading, they're taking everything, you need to buy firearms to protect yourself from spooky immigrants that are replacing white people. That feels similar to people saying there's a trans genocide, buy firearms because Republicans are going to take your rights away.
That type of like, is that better? I can fucking scream over them all the time. Is that awesome or what? You like that better?
Very, very, very unhealthy for the state of the country.
I agree. I don't like the metaphor "fight for your rights." It's been around my entire life. You got to fight for your rights.
That shit.
In the United States, they literally did 250 years ago.
Sure.
And throughout the ages, they have had to do that. But they have done it literally with weapons. And so the idea that we need to, we got into a fight yesterday. Oh, you're arguing.
How annoying that is.
That's not a real. Like, what does fight even mean?
Your audio.
No semantics. Come on.
Well, I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Why do you want to hear me anyway?
Like, if you say go fight for your right, are you really encouraging violence?
Okay, fine. But like. Typically, every political organization says fight for your rights, and they're not implying physical violence. They're implying a struggle against a political machine to encourage people to vote and to get in politicians and get policy in place.
So if someone's on a heavy dose of psychoactives and they hear that and they go fight physically, you got to put it on the person. You got to blame the person that fought, not the person that said go fight.
I think we have to have like a more holistic, intelligent view of this. What I would say is that you have to look at the totality of rhetoric and you got to ask where does it lead. If somebody is saying like, listen, lawmakers are coming for your rights, you guys need to fight for your rights, okay? Like we got to do that. That's fine, whatever. But if somebody's saying like you are being eliminated from this country, people are trying to genocide you, they're going to use whatever means possible to take you out. You need to get armed, you need to train, you need to be ready for when these people come to town. Like, that's like, okay, what the fuck?
Right. I want it to be hard to hear.
You have to look at the totality of the rhetoric. It's not just like a one statement. It's like how is
the people that just left because I'm talking. That's the fucking goddamn reason I don't have it louder than them.
It's being accompanied by posters that say "Take up your arms, no one is coming to save you," and videos of these activists saying quite literally to beat people. Did you see that one? They got like a club made of a curtain rod and they're like beat them, hurt them.
Although I'd say we have to be really careful about because on how big some of these like for some of these trans organizations that people are obsessing over the Trans Day of Vengeance, and then there was another one like the Trans Resistance something network or whatever.
Trans Radical Activist Network.
Yeah, like I don't even know if these things exist. Like I see a lot of like I know Fox News.
I think it had a few thousand followers.
Yeah, it had like well on Twitter like that.
But they're the ones organizing the event in DC tomorrow.
Yeah, but I'm curious how many people are going to even show up to that because I looked at that page and it's like a WordPress page with like 2 links.
But that's what it always is.
And the Twitter page has like 300 followers
and with
no names attached.
You'll get a few hundred people to show up.
I bet it's a Russian op.
Oh yeah, Russia. I mean, honestly, I would not be surprised if it was Russia or China or both.
Oh wait, did they cancel it? Oh, apparently they canceled the April 1st thing.
Really? April Fools.
Breaking news brought to you on the Timcast podcast.
What was the April 1st thing?
The Trans Day of Vengeance.
Oh, they canceled it.
What a horrible name.
I know.
Where did you get that from? Where was that news?
Instagram. It's private. Here, I'll show it to you.
Well, that's good. They did the right thing. I think that was definitely being construed as a violent call, so I think that was the right move.
The organization says this action is not happening due to credible threat to life and safety. Oh, wow.
I think fight for your rights. Okay, vengeance starts to get a little bit weird though.
Yes. Revenge. Also, the word revenge is. I don't like the word revenge. Yeah. Because can you have peaceful revenge? I guess you can. Watching someone fail is like a form of revenge. If you're like me not doing anything.
I would say that's an unconventional use of the word though.
Yeah.
Probably not good.
Vengeance. That implies past wrongdoing. I do think it's absolutely insane that after what happened on Monday, the media's response to this was very, very much like, oh, the poor trans community, whereas they typically don't do that for any other mass shooting. They don't.
Well, that's because what are the other mass shootings? Usually like white dudes, like.
Yeah, but when they're
like poor white people.
But no, I mean like even the other trans shooters, right? With like Aberdeen, Colorado Springs, Denver, they didn't come out and say the same thing. It's like this one they did.
Yeah, but I think for this one, there's a pretty big deal about it being a trans person, which I don't think it was necessarily made as big a deal for the past one. So, and then I think that the temperature is up really high right now because apparently Republicans have nothing else to talk about but trans people. So we're like all focused and fixated on trans people right now. So when a shooting happens with a trans person, I don't think
it's Republicans. I think it's both Republicans and Democrats.
Republicans are obsessed with trans people right now.
But Democrats are, putting books like genderqueer in schools, or I should say schools are putting those in place. Loudoun County, we saw a Republican get elected in Virginia primarily because of what happened in Loudoun County, which is literally 2 seconds. You get in the car, you drive 20 seconds, you're in Loudoun. And it's because these schools, they had sexual assaults. They had these books depicting graphic things for kids. And then when parents wanted something done about it, Democrats called them bigots and ignored the problem. So they turned to Republicans. Republicans embraced it.
Yeah, but isn't this like what our school boards are for? Like, don't you go to your school meetings, you say, we don't want this here, and then you talk to the superintendent?
Have you watched those meetings?
Some of them, but
when the parents go and present the books, they get kicked out or silenced and told they can't speak about it.
For really? For all of them?
No, I didn't say all of them.
Well, because I can imagine it happening at like one or two
when
meetings.
Matt
But here's my
Walsh
issue:
wanted to speak in Loudoun County, they changed the rules so that he wasn't allowed to. So he had to rent a basement apartment to be able to speak.
Was Matt Walsh a resident of that county?
No, and you didn't need to be. Anyone was allowed to speak at these meetings about issues. So when they found out a prominent conservative was coming, they changed the rule to bar him from coming. So he had to become a resident. That was not a rule normally.
Do you think that might be fair?
It is absolutely fair that someone in California can pay AOC $3,000 to help her win her campaign. It's absolutely fair that in a Virginia gubernatorial election, someone from where does he live? Tennessee comes over and says, like, here are my thoughts on this matter and why it's important to change the rules to bar it.
I think but those are federal level things that we're talking about generally, not the governor one, but like the AOC one. But don't you think it might be a little bit different? Like, let's say that you've got like a let's say you've got like a city.
Full stop.
Sure, okay.
Outside the federal thing, local Democrats raise money out of state all the time.
Sure, I'm saying that if you have like local superintendent meetings, if I go to my child's school to have a conversation about the curriculum with the teachers and there are other parents there, if I started to see people show up from like California or Wyoming, we're from Nebraska, like I'd be like, what, like, I don't know why you guys are here right now. That would make me really uncomfortable.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So if it was the case that like, it might have been the case, and I don't know for the Matt Walsh thing, I don't know in particular, but it might have been the case that there wasn't a law in the books for that because it's just something that's never come up before. But if it is going to be a thing, then I could understand like, yeah, you don't need to be at these meetings. This isn't like your political process. This is a very local level thing.
Well, so to go back to the main point, to put it simply, I suppose, Loudoun County was a flashpoint.
Will,
parents were not being listened to. They were protesting.
Okay, have
we
fun.
were down to Kentucky
I was
State Park.
enjoying
We saw
your
parents
commentary.
outside tabling, being like, when we go to these meetings, they won't listen to us. We need change. And that was a huge rallying cry that gets a Republican elected.
Up your ass.
So Republicans are looking at this, and they're hearing parents say, when the COVID lockdown stuff happened, and we heard what these teachers were telling our kids, we were shocked. And when we tried to get these things changed, they resisted. There's one parent's getting sued by the teachers. Who are they getting? It's like the teachers union or whatever. Filed a lawsuit against them because they asked for records on what's being taught to their kids.
I feel like if we look, I'd be curious to look up that lawsuit because I feel like sometimes, look that one up. I'm curious what they're actually being sued for. But my question would be like, can't you just vote out the superintendent? Like, this is part of our local election process. It's like, if you don't like the school superintendent, don't we vote on that? I'm trying to imagine what the resistance is. And now what I'm wondering is there resistance for a majority of parents saying something, or is it a few conservatives that are fighting against this and they're upset that their voice is being drowned out by the other parents that don't agree with them? That'd be my question on this.
I think there's like a big difference between sexual degeneracy and transsexuality.
Well, not for conservatives.
That's the unfortunate thing, is that people are talking about transsexuality as if it's degenerate, and it's not. Waving your unit in front of a child in a bar is degenerate, in my opinion.
It's definitely
whether
a mental
it's in a public park or in a bar where they say it's
off.
okay to do it.
Sure. I kind of wonder this, maybe I'm being a little bit unfair here, but I kind of wonder for a lot of parents if the COVID lockdowns were the first time that they ever actually looked at what their kids were reading in school.
Yep.
And then a lot of them were like, wait, what's going on here? And so like the impression is that like, oh my God, all of this crazy stuff's made its way into the school. It's like, well, no, that's been part of a curriculum for probably quite a while. You just never noticed because it was a school you don't actually give a shit what your kid is reading. But that's just a guess. I agree. Actually, no, but
I think that's true. There were a lot of videos where the kids were on Zoom classrooms and the parents recorded it being like, what are they telling my kids? And then what happened was when these parents came out and started complaining about it,
for a long time.
because no one knew what was going on and paid attention, they said, you're lying. It's not true. It's not happening. But it is happening, and it is shocking. And because parents didn't pay attention, this is why I think it's become a major political issue right now.
Tell him
sure. All right, what's this lawsuit? I'm curious.
I couldn't find it.
And the mic holding.
Yeah,
the mic
there was
touching.
I would need a few minutes.
Fucking drink every time he touches that mic. You drink every time he touches that mic. I bet you won't, because if you do, you'll die tonight.
From a meeting just because they were asking questions. And then when I later go read the story, it's actually like they were making a ton of noise. They were asked to leave once. It was private property, and then they were escorted off, and then they weren't even sure to come. Like things always get like twisted, like really hardcore. So I'm always curious when I hear like there's a lawsuit against somebody. Like, what is it actually for?
Well, there's a bunch of these meetings, and the reason is their parents. Is this one from Fox News? They'll try to read, like they'll be like, "Hey, we came here to complain about this book, and you refuse to listen, so I'm going to read from this book." And then once they do, they go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Please
you can't
don't
read that
drink
stuff
every
in here.
time
It's
he
graphic."
touches
And they're
his
like,
mic,
"Yes, but
'cause
these
you
are in our
might
schools."
actually have alcohol poisoning to the point of death.
Yeah, I mean, here you go. Here's one of the stories from a year ago. Georgia parent reading sexual content from library at school board meeting is cut off as inappropriate. Don't you find the irony? The concerned parent shot back at the school board member. So this is why people are concerned. I mean, have you seen Genderqueer? Have you seen that book? This is just one book. We had Asra Nomani came in and she brought like 50 different books with various critical race theory, racist ideology, as well as gender ideology stuff. That was like really crazy.
Second
really crazy. And
nose
on
rub.
Amazon, it's listed as 18 and up only. It's got it's just got, aside from the overt sex acts that are in the book,
what are we even doing here?
That should not be accessible to children, there's a bunch of stuff in there that kids should not be reading about, just in general.
What school is including this? Are they giving it,
trying to catch that drain or what?
I think a few of them had it as curriculum. A lot of them had it as in the libraries.
Well, okay, so library and school are those are two very different things. Like, if my second grader can buy this at a Scholastic book fair, that's one thing. But if this is in the library of a high school, I think it's a bit different. Like, there are adult sections in libraries at high schools. Like, I don't know.
High school librarian gaining attention online for promoting the genderqueer book to students. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. You just Google it. Ron DeSantis actually put together a presentation where actually listed out all the schools that had these books. And the craziest thing was that Nikki Fried, who's the Democrat trying to run against him, took a screenshot of what he posted and then wrote, "Posting butt plug porn to own the libs." And it's like, yo, that is a book showing a butt plug next to an anus that they're showing children in grade schools, and that's what the complaint is about. If even a Democrat gubernatorial candidate is calling it butt plug porn, I think we got a problem.
Sure, I just have to see what we're talking about. Like what you just brought up, was that a librarian in a school, or was it just a library?
High school librarian.
Oh, high school librarian.
He's rubbing his nose.
Being complained about?
Well, I googled genderqueer.
Is it that they're telling kids at the library to rent the book, or is it a librarian on Twitter promoting the book?
She went on TikTok and was telling all of her students or whatever, you guys should get this book or something.
But was the book in the library, or was it just a librarian making a book? Because I feel like these details are really important, right?
Are they straight meth before these shows?
It matters. If a librarian is recommending a book, she's like, "This is a good book to read."
Yes, they can be found at her school's library.
Okay, gotcha. I've never snorted meth, but I heard it burns like a motherfucker.
Let me pull up the Ron DeSantis one. Because they keep saying he's banning books, and it's like, dude, telling kids you can't have Hustler in the library is not banning books. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can't play this online, so don't pull this up. I can't show you the.
That's for the after hours stream.
Yeah, we can do it there, but I don't even know if people are going to want to see it.
What?
So
I want to see it.
Did he?
I need to see it.
You got to give people a reason to come to the after hours streams, okay?
Yeah.
Butt plugs and books might be it.
Let me find the video. If I search for it on Twitter, here we go. Is this it?
Stay away from that shit.
Ron DeSantis addresses book controversy. I have to pull it up on Twitter. Because on Twitter, you have the full thing.
While he's looking about Hillary's emails, you said
Do
something was illegal about those. What was
all
that?
Right, here, let's.
All right, we'll go back to it later.
We won't show this on the stream because YouTube will give us a strike if I show this stuff.
Don't do it.
But
135-year anniversary, man.
Jeez.
Yeah, Twitter video player sucks. I'm gonna have to reload it. Well, you already saw that much.
I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see well, but I'm assuming it was
and
a
lot
butthole.
of these people that we watch
it was a butthole.
The true crime on,
Roberto Clemente.
they're tweakers. A lot of
baseball.
Can you read the tweet for me? What does the tweet say?
It says, yesterday we exposed the book ban hoax. If news stations could not show this explicit material on air, why should it be shown in schools? Oh, is that what it is? Okay, so they show genderqueer. There's some overt sex acts. There's two little boys engaging in what they should not be showing children. And then where's the... let me see. It's not playing audio? There's no sound coming out of this?
through third grade, and discrimination in a way that an individual by virtue of his or her race, color, sex, or national origin is inherently racist or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously.
He's trying not to, though.
Found in Florida schools and reported
get it out.
for removal. What was found is shocking. Let's we'll make it bigger and then try and jump
Another, where
this isn't on stream, right?
And asks,
the audio,
it's not. The audio is.
Okay.
Am I the only one? I'm just seeing this shit right now. Hey,
there's another section where a group of boys
is no one in
together
Rumble anymore?
and are pressured
Say something.
to ejaculate
I'll give
into
you
a bottle.
money. Not really.
A Mountain Dew bottle of all bottles.
Oh, disgusting.
Are these ideologically driven
Let's talk
books?
about
Oh, here we go. This is the really bad
America
one.
Nolan and Matthew Nolan was found in a Broward County school and contains graphic depictions of how to masturbate for males and females, while also including an entire section.
Yeah, so that's what Nikki Free was complaining about. That this is not appropriate for children, circling the butthole and explaining how to use butt plugs and all that stuff. So, you know, I kind of think
I would need to. I'm curious. So is this on a high school library? Are these like in restricted sections, or what is the access to these books like? Because now
Some
when I'm
of them
saying
are in
because
grade
I thought before it was just like a porn book. This seems like, whether we agree or disagree, it seems like it's a guide for sexual exploration for teenagers. Essentially, is what it looks like.
Butt plugs go a bit beyond that. You know,
they do, but kids stick a lot of weird things in their bodies. A lot of girls that do a lot of fucking dumb things. And,
yeah,
and
we shouldn't be giving children books explaining how to use butt plugs.
Probably not. I generally probably agree.
Right.
But
you know.
Again, like I'm curious, like what is
that's
the
just
access?
it. That's just it. It's like, hey, let's not have that book.
What is the access though?
Probably
Because like again, if you tell me
agree.
this is available to a second grader, that's a lot different than like. I'm just saying that's a lot different than like this is a high school book that like you have to be 18 and older to rent.
They
right?
actually did say this.
High school at 18 and older. That's the thing.
To use a butt plug. Even more startling is the guide on how to sext for children, encouraging them to send photos that don't include your face, hide your birthmarks and scars, and edit out your piercings and tattoos. Books by Rupi Kaur, such as Homebody, Milk and Honey, and The Sun in Her Flowers.
Let me jump back.
There's another subtle contains Hillsborough.
Okay, here we go. They explain where they were found and how their kids were accessing them.
Sure.
Fucking gay.
What was found was shocking, graphic.
Flamer by Mike Curato was found in Broward, Collier, Hillsborough, Marion, Seminole, and Volusia County schools. The camp the boys go to in the book has an island that the book says.
Okay, so they basically just outlined that it's in schools in Florida.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, you agree there's a difference between, like, this is like in a high school, you've got to be like a junior or older to check out, versus this is in like the grade school library.
I like it to be hard to hear.
Some of them are in grade schools,
I don't
yes.
care.
Like genderqueer, the reason it got so much attention is because it was in grade schools specifically. I think it was in like a 6th grade classroom or something. The teacher brought it in. I don't know. We cover all this stuff when it happens.
Sure.
We have to pull it up right now. But like, look.
Yeah.
Simply put, this is what conservatives have been complaining about. They're like, hey, you know, like in Florida, they said if you're in kindergarten to 3rd grade, you should not have access to this stuff. They should not be teaching it. That's it. After that, you can do like whatever. Parents have a right to know about it. And they said that, in fact, teachers are still allowed to talk about. In Florida, they said if you're in kindergarten to 3rd grade, you should not have access to this stuff. They should not be teaching it. That's it. After that, you can do like whatever. Parents have a right to know about it. And they said that, in fact, teachers are still allowed to talk about identity and sexual orientation stuff, but not in a classroom setting. Meaning, a teacher could literally tell a student one-on-one if they asked, hey, what's that picture on your desk? Well, that's my husband or whatever. And they, oh, okay, that wasn't banned. What was banned was a classroom curriculum setting of educating kids on these issues. And only kindergarten through 3rd grade. Though they are now expanding it to, I think, all through 8th grade or whatever.
It is. I think it is important, the word children, because if you're 17 and tomorrow's your birthday, you're still a child legally.
Yeah, I guess it's like the thing that bothers me is that like conservatives will say things like we shouldn't teach this to children, and it's like that. I don't like some of these books would be incredibly inappropriate for like a 6-year-old, but for like an 18-year-old, I don't know, it'd probably be good to know some of this stuff.
Well, an 18-year-old's totally different.
I know, but 17-year-old children. So like for instance, like I'll fight over
not in schools, man.
Wait, what? Not in schools?
I don't think schools should have this stuff even for 17-year-olds.
Both of y'all getting freaky with it.
There's a lot of stuff available at a library. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I think like a video a book showing how to use a butt plug is over the line.
Sure. And even if you do think that
stuff is fine.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's part of it.
I really disagree. Like, you're talking about kink, and kink goes beyond basic sex education.
Do you think that like toys for women should be discussed in books?
No.
Okay. They probably should.
For kids, you mean?
What do kids mean?
For 17 and under.
For like 17, 18-year-olds.
I think instruction manuals should not be in You know what I mean? Like I
think that the issue is that teenagers are engaging, and there's a lot of especially conservative parents that like to pretend that teenagers don't do anything sexual until they're 18. And that's just not the case, regardless of what they want to believe, especially when half these conservatives get fucking pregnant at 16, 17, 18. Anyway, but there's a lot of people like to pretend that their kids aren't into anything sexual, blah, blah, blah. And then when it comes to children that are starting to explore and do these things, stupid things happen where people are putting dumb things in their bodies. They end up going to ERs, or worse, they don't tell their parents at all, and they have like these hugely complicated problems. It's probably not the most common thing in the world. But again, I think that for like a 17 and 18-year-old, like books on this available at a school library that's not like assigned as part of the curriculum, I think you can argue whether or not it's a big deal or not. There's probably good arguments on both sides, but it's way different than like an 8-year-old having access to it.
But that was part of the issue. The reason it comes up is because young kids did have access to these books, and that freaked people out.
Sure, if that is the case, sure. Yeah. I just don't know if I believe that's the case yet. I don't know if I've seen anything compelling. But if it is, I agree. Like there should be an age-appropriate conversation around what's available to children.
Well,
right?
so the
kindergarten through 6th grade, like probably should have no access to any of this stuff. I think we'd agree with that, right?
Ron DeSantis' administration comes out and says kindergarten through 3rd grade, none of this stuff. The Democrats came out and lied and said it was don't say gay, despite the fact that the bill barred from people from also talking about straight marriage as well.
I believe that the issue with that bill was that after it specified K through 3, I want to say in the very next line, it said an age appropriate up to high school as well. I think there was a vague interpretation there. We can look up the actual bill itself, but I'm almost positive that it included up through high school as a vague line after that K through 3 thing. I'm almost positive because I remember we read the bill on stream.
But either way, it wasn't a don't say gay bill. You couldn't say straight either.
No, well, the issue...
You could not say straight.
I don't know if that was true that you couldn't say straight.
But I believe not specify the word gay or anything. It just said you cannot talk about orientation or identity, which includes all of it.
Yeah, but the problem is you generally don't need to talk about an orientation if it's straight, because that's just what you assume, right? I think that the main concern, the legal argument that I heard for the concern for the quote-unquote don't say gay bill was that bill created a private cause of action that any parent could sue or bring legal action to any school whatsoever, whatever they wanted to, if they felt like one of these things was being brought up in an appropriate manner. And that might extend to just saying that like an author of a poem is gay. You wouldn't necessarily say somebody is straight because that's just assumed, right? It's like in a movie, if we see like a husband and a wife kissing, nobody asks a question, but when two guys are kissing, it's like, well, why are they gay, right? Obviously, there's going to be a bit of a different treatment for gay relationships versus straight ones.
Let's go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com so you can watch the uncensored portion of the show, which will be live at 10 p.m. over at timcast.com. We'll put it up on the front page. And if you're a member, you have the opportunity to submit questions and actually call into the show and ask those questions. So we will be taking calls from our Discord channel. But for now, let's read.
Why does my voice need to be
Daniel
heard?
Kuhn says, "Isn't Destiny a girl's name?"
Really?
True.
Where does Destiny come from?
Is it just like a game tag?
Yeah, and I was like 8 years old.
I got all these words on top of me.
It was before the game.
But yeah. Yes, unfortunately.
Did the game make you more popular?
Initially, it pissed me off because it kind of messed with my SEO, but I think I'm doing good now.
It's trending on Twitter right now.
Yeah, it always is. Because the game is usually trending. And then if I do anything, people talk about me too, so it all gets mixed up. I still get emails every now and then from people that are asking me, like, hey, can you reset the password on my Bungie account? And like, yeah, it's kind of dumb thing.
All right, Freedom Jeffrey, 1776 says,
see how
hi,
he
Tim, how do I become an elite member?
Look at me,
you
I'm
sign
amazing.
Up at timcast.com for the $100 tier, and that makes you an elite member. And then you get access to the elite chat room, and the people hanging out in the elite chat room are networking. That's the point. So hopefully, though, once we get our physical location set up, the third floor will be like the actual clubhouse, and it will be basically like a hillbilly version of a social club that people in New York have. So like in New York, they have the $50,000 a year clubs. Like ridiculously expensive, like the Soho House or whatever. We're in the redneck version.
Wait, you're gonna have like an actual place in here where fans are coming?
We have purchased a 3-story building in West Virginia that we are putting on the first floor, a coffee shop. It's currently in the planning phase.
Okay.
Second floor is going to be gaming and hangout, and then the third floor is the private club, which is going to be $100 a month.
I don't know, might still be
substantially
alive,
cheaper than your typical social club. So it's like the working class version of these things, so people can hang out, meet each other, and collaborate. You know.
Gotcha.
Like clubs do.
Your own Equinox.
Cool. Is that what that is? Well, I mean, like in New York, I think the Soho House is like $50,000 a year to be a member.
Damn.
It's crazy. Yeah, like $4,000 something per month they pay. But then like there's free food, there's free drinks. You're hanging out with a bunch of rich people. So you're like, I got an idea for a business, and then someone connects you with someone else. That's power right there. Helps people start businesses. All right, Wayback says DeSantis put out a perfect statement in regards to the Trump indictment. He said he won't assist in the extradition and it's a political prosecution. He's won me back with that statement. Trump 2024, DeSantis 2028. I thought it was fine, but it's kind of like him being like, don't count. I'm not involved as a, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna give him a C minus. C minus.
Air Force won't accept.
It's like, okay, whatever.
That's great.
All right, let's grab some more. Mick Spencer says, hey, Destiny, thank you for being who you are and always holding fast to your principles. I enjoy seeing you on EFAP way back.
What's that? What's EFAP?
Oh, man. It's a show called Every Frame a Painting where they go over like movies and it takes them like 6 hours to do a movie. And I've been on a couple of those, I think.
Oh, they just break it down scene by scene?
Yeah. Frame by frame.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, Max Reddick says, Tim, Sam Seder seems to think you are afraid to debate him, claiming that you asked him to come on the show during COVID as his excuse for not coming on. Would you publicly ask him to come on the show? So the issue with Sam is I've known him for a really long time, and I made a tweet where I was like, we typically invite people on the left to come on the show, and then they just never do. They never respond, or they respond once and they don't get back to us. And then Hassan and Sam both said, I'll totally do it. And so I privately messaged both of them and said, awesome, would be excited to have you, especially Sam, because Sam was the first guy to ever give me a shout out in media ever. He said, like, oh, look at these guys, Occupy Wall Street, fantastic work. And I was like, we'll cover the cost of everything, we'll fly you out. And then Sam basically was just like, I'm not going on your show. And then tweeted accusing me of like, making it up or something.
Oh, it might have been a COVID thing because he just went on Patrick Bet-David's show.
He tweeted at me that he was going to come on the show and then privately was like, oh, I'm not coming out there. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. Like you said you would. You actually set a date and everything. I told you the date. I told you the time. You said yes, you agreed. And now when I'm setting this up, you're like flaking out behind the scenes and then putting me on the spot.
If Sam wanted to, would you host a debate with him on your show?
No. And Hassan, yes. Hassan politely messaged me and said, hey, look, man, I know I said I would. I feel he said something like, I feel pretty bad, but like, I'm not comfortable flying right now with COVID. And I was like, totally understand, dude, no problem. Later on, when I asked him again, he's like, bro, I host my own show. And I said, you are totally correct. Like the idea that I'm going to ask someone who hosts their own show to cancel their show to come on my show, I just totally get it. So if I like Kyle Kalinske, for instance, has talked about coming on the show before, but I'm like, whenever you can, because I know you do your own show. Like I'm not, people want to come on the show, it's like doing me a favor. But the issue with Sam is that I believe he is like, he's a grifter. Like,
you don't think he believes what he says?
I think maybe half of it. I think he doesn't know about a lot of issues and he says things just for the sake of shock value. He makes a bunch of videos. Like another thing is like all he would do is rag on Dave Rubin. He's like one of those guys who makes a bunch of videos just talking about drama and people that I'm really not interested. And then the publicly agreeing to come on the show in good faith, like when I made a good faith offer, and then privately backtracking and then putting it on me and now claiming I'm scared. Like the whole thing's a bit. Tim's scared to debate me. No, dude, he's just a lowbrow grifter. Bro, I'll have you on anytime you want to come on. Like here you are. And I think you're like substantially more intelligent and capable of debate than Sam Seder is.
Obviously that's true. No, I'm just kidding. I think Sam's a really smart guy. I mean, I can't speak to your private messages, but yeah, I would hope. So. I don't know. I don't view him as a grifter. I feel like Sam is pretty honest. He's pretty smart compared to most of the people. If I was scared of anybody in the left to debate, I think it would generally be Sam Seder,
I'll tell you one of the personal negative experiences.
Okay.
But like, still when you have him on the show was when I tried to explain to him deontological versus utilitarian moral philosophy.
Oh, I watched this.
And he didn't understand it. And so how do you convey an idea to someone who doesn't understand these concepts? Well, I went for pop culture, and instead, it was a bunch of.
I remember because you said the villain is usually the utilitarian guy. I remember I watched this clip. I remember a while
ago. So I said I think we were talking about universal healthcare, and I said it's utilitarian versus deontological morality or ethics, right? Deontological ethics is basically stating that you cannot take an immoral action against an individual, regardless of the outcome. And utilitarian thinking is an action against an individual which is unethical is justified if it benefits the greater. And Sam was like, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, okay, how do I debate a guy who doesn't understand these concepts? Well, me thinking like I'm here to convey ideas in good faith said, think about Thanos versus like Captain America. Thanos wants to wipe out. And then his response was to make a video and all of his fans mocking me for talking about Marvel. But here's a better one. When we released our first song, he ran it through an audio filter to make it sound bad and then played it on his show calling it garbage and lying about it.
I just saw
like that. The dude is just the lowest of low tier grifters.
Did he? I feel like I saw them. I watched them.
He ran my song through an audio filter.
Was he on that episode? Because it was the girl and the other guy.
I don't know.
I don't remember if he was on the show. But
Sam Cedar's show played the song we put out and put it through this weird filter to make it sound like garbage.
Okay.
And that song actually did really well. It's the best song we've had so far. It charted on Billboard in a bunch of different categories. And then they're just like, oh, it's so bad. Oh, man, it sounds like Nickelback. And I'm like, if anything, it sounds like emo, not Nickelback.
You know, I'll point something out about
fake.
Sam.
It's just all fake grifting.
Sam went on Patrick
Hilarious, though, that he
David's
did that.
Valuetainment
He's pissed
podcast.
him off
It was
so
very
much.
cool. I didn't see the whole thing, but they talked about Medicare. They talked about finances. And then Sam, you put up a video on your channel that says, it's a picture of you and Pat, and it says, Sam Cedar debates rich guy who hates taxes. Like, you didn't even use his name. That's dirty, dude.
It's all grifting. It's all fake garbage.
Like, he's a huge podcaster. You should make a big deal out of that.
He's grifting.
Well.
But I love you, Sam.
Okay, hold on. I don't want to fight on every point. That's part of the YouTube game. People do that. I'm sure if I go through your channel, I'm sure you guys have got like crazy thumbnails and titles and stuff. Like I think my editor probably puts up crazy thumbnails. Like there are times where I ask him, like, why didn't you have this person's name? And he's like, oh, like this, they don't do well in the algorithm. Or like you can't put that person's name in the title. It'll fuck the video up or whatever. Maybe that's some of theirs. But
actually, Valuetainment podcast would algorithmically be boosted way more than Rich Dude, which is very generic.
Sure, possibly. When you say grifter, what do you mean by that? I'm just curious.
In the literal sense, I believe that his shtick is to say things to convince people to watch, as opposed to say things principally which attract an audience.
Okay.
So like, me
He's
personally,
got balls that go
there's
inside
a bunch
of
of
him.
positions where like my opinion has evolved or changed, notably with like police. We had Michael Mouse on the show, and then my position changes more towards okay, maybe the cops aren't as I'm not going to defend the cops as much as I used to. For someone like Sam, like his people, whether it was him or otherwise, running my song through an audio filter to make it sound bad, like that's just weird and dirty. And there's been other instances, like seriously though, I don't really care to think about the guy.
Okay.
But when I publicly said like, bro, I would love to have you on the show here, I'm thinking like I've debated him before. I know there were like people got their hoots and hollers out of it, but it would be great to have him on the show. And then he pulls this stunt. I'm just like, the dude played me and then made it seem like I'm the one who backed out. It was all a grift to rally his audience. Hassan didn't do that. Hassan outright told me, like, I'm not comfortable traveling during COVID. Sorry, bro. And I was like, I appreciate it, man. And that was the end of it.
I saw a tweet from Destiny about a week ago that says, I forgive everybody from my past. Something like that. I'm moving forward. Yeah. I like it. More of that.
All right. Let's read some more super chats. Free Men Die Free says, nobody will tolerate a Trump indictment while Bush, Biden, and Obama roam free while being guilty of acts of treason and war crimes. Powder keg is lit. Whether, I'll say this to you, Destiny. Whether you agree with them having committed crimes, the sentiment, I think you would agree, among the people of this country is probably there, right?
Yeah, the sentiment is there, but again, I think it's important to ask from a judicial point of view, like, what is the crime being committed? Because sometimes we just really don't like somebody. We want them to be, like, arrested, I
agree, and I think you made a good point about think about if it was Hillary or Trump and, like, switch the positions. I think the greater point often that I talk about, though, is the emotional state of this country can't tolerate something like this. It doesn't matter if it's true or correct. What matters is we know Trump supporters are going to outright be like, it's BS, it's unjust, end of story.
Maybe, but I feel like I agree with you to some extent, but I think that a country's strength is measured by the veracity of its institutions. And when your judicial institutions start to bend to the whims of whatever is politically expedient, you might be creating a more scary world than if you have to tolerate some tumultuous short-term period of political unrest. I think that's a really important thing to consider. You're in a really scary area when judges are thinking like, we could indict this guy, but man, it's going to be really rough on Fox News for the next 7 days.
But that's how it goes.
It's like Chauvin. Same thing.
Or the Ahmaud Arbery case. You know about the Ahmaud Arbery case, right? I'd imagine you'd be on the right side of that one.
Those were the guy that got chased down who was jogging in the neighborhood or whatever?
Well, the felony burglary suspect who was fleeing the scene of a crime.
It's amazing. Man, we're going to have a way different... This is the one where
Well, did you watch the trial?
Parts of it, but this is a long time ago.
So the prosecution outright stated he was a felony burglary suspect. If you get your news from like corporate press or whatever,
God, I'm not familiar with the case.
Well, then just look into it because I think you'd come out on the right side.
I did, but there were so many claims. Like somebody claimed that, for instance, like he didn't have tennis shoes on, he had boots on or whatever. But then I saw pictures of what it was. Like, no, these are not boots. Right, that's a lie.
That's
right?
immaterial. So the issue was the police went door to door. Everybody had known that someone had been committing burglaries. A gun had been stolen from a vehicle. Okay. The cops showed the picture of Ahmaud Arbery to a bunch of the neighbors. When Arbery entered a home under construction and was seen, neighbors all called each other. Someone witnessed the guy running down the street, and they were like, hey, that's the guy. The McMichaels got in the truck and chased after him. Were told by police not to pursue, but pursued anyway. They were in front of him. Arbery had a guy behind him who was filming the whole time. Arbery ran around the truck and then grabbed Travis, I think it was Travis McMichael's shotgun, and they fought over it. It went off into his chest, killing him. I think we can make a whole bunch of arguments about whether they should have followed or not followed, but the fact that the dude who simply filmed it is spending the rest of his life in prison, I think says a lot about the fact that it was totally bunk. You know what I mean? Like that guy.
I wish I could cut. Fuck! I hate myself that I'm not familiar with this case. I feel like this is one of those things I'm going to go home and we'll look into it, and it's going to be completely different than how you've said it.
No,
but
I'm
not sure. I can't comment because I don't know the details of it.
I'm not coming out here saying he stole a lollipop from a little kid while wearing construction boots and they came to his jogging. I'm giving you so the conviction was due to the fact that under the citizen's arrest law, there was a potential interpretation where the gist of it is, if it's a misdemeanor, you had to have witnessed the crime, but if it's a felony, you're allowed to make a citizen's arrest without being a witness to the crime. The issue was, it was an old law that was written in a simplistic way that had like a comma or something, and the jury instructions by the judge was, you interpret how you see it. The prosecution argued, regardless of a felony or misdemeanor, you had to be a witness. And the defense argued, no, there's two different clauses here. If it's a misdemeanor, you need to be a witness. However, it's a felony, you can make an arrest. The jury decided to take the prosecution's interpretation, and thus they were convicted. So, simply put, the left argues he was trespassing. No. The prosecution outright said he was a suspect in a felony burglary. But because they did not witness the felony burglary, they had no justification for a
when they
citizen's
say he
arrest.
was a witness for a felony burglary, what is that? Or that he was suspect for a felony burglary. What does that mean?
It means he had illegally entered a private residence.
Had he?
Yes. He's on camera doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the left said, he's just trespassing. He's just, no, burglary does not mean theft. It means when you illegally enter someone's property.
And then the story that you're telling me is these three guys were just following him in a truck. Two guys.
The third guy saw him running on the street and started filming on his phone.
Okay.
Completely unrelated to the McMichaels. Mm-hmm. He got charged along with them and is spending the rest of his life in prison.
That's a crazy story. I'll try to look it up more because when I argue with left-leaning people about Rittenhouse, they give me crazy interpretations as well. But that's the case I'm far more.
But we were
familiar
right
with.
about Rittenhouse. You were right about Rittenhouse.
Sure, yeah, but that's just a case I'm more familiar with. But
I think if you look into the Arbery case, you're going to be like, oh wow, yeah. Like
when the Arbery case, what did he enter?
There was a house under construction. He's on camera going into the property and he looks around and then he leaves. That's felony burglary. Now, I'm not here to argue semantics or morality. I'm saying that's literally under the law felony burglary, which the McMichaels used as justification. So there had been a string of literal burglaries. Okay, let me slow down.
Sure.
There had been a string of colloquially defined burglaries where someone entered property and took items. Uh-huh. The circumstance in question that he was a suspect on was he was caught on camera entering private property, looking around, and then leaving. Mm-hmm. That makes him... that if that is proof that he committed the crime, that is felony burglary. We've actually dealt with this. So people need to understand this. If you have property with no fence, no barrier, people are allowed to walk on your property and do whatever they want. All you can do is ask them to leave. If you put up a sign saying no trespassing and they walk onto your property, they're now guilty of a slap on the wrist trespassing charge because they've been given a warning. If you take a piece of thread, a tiny piece of thread, and wrap it around your property, and someone goes underneath it, they've now committed felony burglary because they have bypassed a physical barrier, regardless of what that barrier is. So when he entered the house, he had committed a felony. Now, he wasn't convicted of it, I don't know. The point was, there were a string of burglaries, and the police were asking people, have you seen this man? Mm-hmm. So when they saw him run into the street, they were like, that's the guy the cops told us about. Chased after him, called the police. The police said, do not pursue.
Okay, hold on. So when you say this, okay, Jesus Christ, it's been so long and I didn't cover this one closely. So when you say the cops told him that, right? So I'm looking at an article from The Independent. The white father and son accused of murdering Ahmed Arbery were told by police that he wasn't a burglar days before they chased the black 25-year-old and shot him dead in the street, according to prosecutors. So were the prosecutors lying there, or did the police specifically say that this guy was not a burglar?
I need to know where that article's from, because if I'm talking about facts after the case...
These are opening statements relating to begin Friday morning on the trial of the three white men accused of murdering black 25-year-old Ahmed Arbery.
The police went to them and said, we're looking for this man. He is a felony burglary suspect. The issue...
Because apparently, the prosecutors also shared statements from the suspects where they admitted that they did not believe that he'd even stolen anything. Apparently, Gregory McMichael...
is not burglary, though. That's the important distinction. Burglary is illegally entering a premises.
Yeah, but were they chasing? But they were chasing him because they thought that he had carried out other burglaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But apparently...
He wasn't, he wasn't just jogging, right?
Yeah, but apparently, he wasn't just jogging, right? So I'm looking at an article from The Independent. The white father and son accused of murdering Ahmed Arbery were told by police that he wasn't a burglar days before they chased the black 25-year-old and shot him dead in the street, according to prosecutors. So were the prosecutors lying there, or did the police say that this guy was not a burglar?
Exactly. This is not look.
Yeah, but I'm saying like was the citizen's arrest because he walked into a property because they thought he was stealing shit.
A gun had gone missing, and they thought he was the guy who did it.
Yeah,
there was a string of thefts.
But then when Gregory McMichael is here telling investigators, I don't think the guy's actually stolen anything out of there for statements relating to seeing him.
That was a video where he enters a building and then leaves. They believe that was evidence that he had been the person who had actually been stealing things. A few weeks prior to the incident, a gun had been stolen from a vehicle. That's the most pronounced part of the story.
Gotcha.
So, regardless.
Also, this is saying Travis McMichael shot Mr. Arbery 3 times with a shotgun. That sounds like it went off more than once.
You should watch the video.
Okay. Do you think
in
all
the video
three when they were fighting over it?
It's off camera.
So here's the issue.
Okay.
If two people are holding a gun, they're both in possession of the gun.
Sure.
So it's not as simple to say in a news story that he shot him 3 times. That's a prosecution.
Yeah, but 2 people holding a shotgun
and fighting over it, and then it goes off
3 times.
Probably it went off. He was still holding it, and then he fired it 2 more times.
Semi-auto. Okay, a shotgun. You fired a shotgun before, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, 2 people holding, even with buckshot, if you pull a trigger with 2 people, that shotgun's gonna go flying.
So it's really weird. If you watch the video, you can see both of their hands are on it, and they're shaking it back and forth. They had tight grips.
Maybe I'll look it up.
But also, take into consideration the statements of the defense and the prosecution are going to favor their view of the story.
Of course.
And the ultimate conclusion was based on the fact that they were performing a citizen's arrest, but because they had not witnessed a felony in progress, they had no right to perform a citizen's arrest. Thus,
and because the cops told them explicitly to back off. Apparently.
Exactly.
And that he wasn't a burglary suspect.
He was.
But the cops.
Apparently, the prosecutor said that the cops had made the statement to these people days earlier that he explicitly was not a burglary suspect. Do we have the video to watch?
The video of the shooting?
The shotgun? Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh, I mean, I'll try and pull it up, but I got to be honest. We recently tried pulling it up. It's really hard to find. But let's read some more super chats.
Yeah, go. I don't want to interrupt your super chat.
But anyway, my point is just this. Not that it's like the clearest cut case of self-defense like with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Sure.
But it's that this guy's not a jogger. It's not so simple to say like 3 guys lynched this dude or whatever.
Wait, was he not a jogger? Do we not think?
Like, come on, bro. Like, you think a guy drove 26 miles from his house to jog through a random suburban neighborhood?
I don't even know if that's how. This reminds me of like when people did Rittenhouse go to a whole other state to defend his property?
The dude didn't live there.
Yeah, sure, but I don't know where I don't know where he lives.
Well,
maybe he lives in an apartment complex. He drives to jog. I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll read some more super chats and then we'll talk more. With members only. I don't want to.
Would a guy drive 26 miles to walk into a construction site and walk away? I'm not sure. Like
that's what he apparently did.
Well, but purportedly he was jogging, right?
So they say he was jogging, but there's video you can watch of him entering this property. And then the left was like, well, he was just looking around, It's like, come on. He's jogging and then decides to go look around in someone's private property? It's just weird. If it's an
under construction site, I don't know.
No, dude. Seriously?
You're telling me that a shotgun went off 3 times in a guy's chest while he was fighting over it? That's a seriously question, right?
Watch the video. I don't know.
I want to see the video. But do your super chats. Go, sorry.
But like the idea that someone went jogging that decides to, in the middle of the night, jog in the middle of the night and then go into someone's house just doesn't seem to make sense.
Construction site, but yeah.
But like it's not like a barren frame. It's a house. Okay. It's a fully constructed house.
Gotcha.
And there's like materials inside. They're doing the interior, but whatever.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Mike Casanelli with big old super chat. It just says celebrate the first super chat. Oh, well, thank you very much.
Nice.
They started doing that thing where it's like whenever you super chat for the first time, you get an award or something on YouTube.
Oh yeah, in the little YouTube chat.
Nice.
Do you guys have memberships for your YouTube yet?
We had members only chat, but we switched to just running a Discord because it's better.
Oh, gotcha.
And then let people do the free chat.
I mean, you can pay for memberships on YouTube to get little icons next to your name if you guys.
Yeah, we do. We do have that. They have little beanies.
Oh, cute. Okay.
Yeah. And you get Bocus and Roberto Jr. emojis.
Gotcha.
All right. Let's see. Let's grab some good ones while we're here. Iggy the Incubus says, seeing as Pandora's box is open, can we indict Bush for lying to America to justify Iraq's invasion? What about Obama for Abdul Amar al-Awlaki? Abdul Rahman. I mean, how about we just go for Bush and the Iraq invasion and all that stuff? Should he be arrested for that?
Break a law?
I mean...
Is it illegal for the president to lie to his citizens? I don't know. Is that a law? I'm not sure if that's a law.
Man.
Protected speech.
It should be. Like declaring war. All right, let's grab some super chats. I'm trying to find a good one, So bear with me, guys. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, Libby listened to you in an article about Biden saying trans people shape our nation's soul, no affirming care, only child sex change and medical mutilation. Nice, correct words. Oh, hi, Destiny. I know, I'm always yelling at the post-millennials, funny. And they listen to the show and Libby's always hanging out, so it's like they know, I know that they're going to listen. But they wrote an article where they said something like assault rifle, and I was like, it's not an assault rifle, so they fixed it. And then they called something gender-affirming care, and I'm like, just call it a child sex change. All right, what do we got? Just a lot of people who don't like Destiny.
Based?
Yeah. Let's see, we got Noob Actual says, hey, Tim, I appreciate your insight on the show you give. I'd love to see you guys reach out to Lucas Botkin. He has very radical, really traditional 2A views, top-notch American. Very interesting. All right. Yomenai Gaming says, this is infuriating. Destiny is outright wrong about Trump. He never threatened to withhold aid. Biden did that on camera. Look up the Trump call.
Wow.
Is that true? Today's the first I've ever heard that Trump was threatened to withhold aid also.
Pretty sure that's what he got impeached for.
That was the news narrative, but to be fair, we should probably just pull up the actual transcript of the call and then be right about as to whether it was or wasn't. All right. And just let's see. Here's another one that says Destiny's a liar.
Say it one more time. He's definitely high on something.
All right. John Casey says, does anyone believe that Trump can receive a fair trial in New York, let alone in New York City? They want to take this farce to court, fine, but they should have to change it as a neutral venue as possible. To as neutral a venue as possible.
What does that mean?
It shouldn't be tried in New York City.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what would be a neutral venue for Donald J. Trump?
Northern. If you go north of New York City, literally 45 minutes, you actually get a 50-50 zone.
Sure.
You get a jurisdiction with a court that's
I'm just saying that, like, I'm imagining, like, interviewing jurors. Like, do you have a strong opinion on Donald Trump? Like, it feels like everybody's going to be incredibly.
Well, no, but there's like, if you go 45 minutes north of New York, like not even 40 of Manhattan, if you go just north of like the Bronx, it's 50-50 Republican Democrat. So if they asked people, you'd get people to be like, yeah, I voted for him.
Sure. Oh yeah, no, but I mean, like typically a jury's supposed to be unbiased. It's not supposed to be 6 in favor of him, 6 against him. It's supposed to be like just random. Yeah, it's just going to be heated. Yeah.
There's no way to get a jury who's going to be like, I don't know who this man is.
Yeah. Who I don't have strong opinions on. Yeah.
Do you know who this man is? I do. He was the president. Do you like him? Oh boy. That's going to be scary too, because there's going to be people who are going to look around and they're going to be thinking they do like him, but they're not going to say it publicly. William Jones says, Tim, you need to get update on your 2A rights. You can use weed and have guns. Courts gave it the okay about a month ago. I don't think that's on the forms right now. I don't think it's on the forms. All right. El Rojo Grande says, Obama was sued by the ACLU for that strike and lost. The courts have already decided it wasn't lawful, which can only mean it was a crime, just never charged.
Wait, what is that? If they sued him for that and lost, how did they decide it was unlawful?
Yeah, it depends. Was it like a wrongful death suit? Like, it depends on what the lawsuit was. But, you know, like, wasn't OJ, he won the criminal case but lost the civil case?
Sure.
And then he wrote a book called If I Did It, and then the family won the rights to the book and then made the if really, really small.
Yep.
And it just says, I did it. You know, that was funny. All right. David Morton says, I disagree with Destiny on almost everything, but he has my respect for standing up to the online jihadis.
Jesus.
Russell Miller says, Tim and Destiny, true centrists. I can agree and disagree with both of you on different topics, but I recognize legitimacy of your stances. White pill episode.
What is that supposed to mean?
I think it means that, like...
I'm half Cuban. I don't appreciate that.
Well, like, people think you're being honest about your views.
I don't
You're not
appreciate
trying
being
to be
called
wrong.
white-pilled.
White-pilled. It just means optimism.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let it aside for now.
White pill means you give them hope for the future.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Dye your hair blue.
It's a good thing. Dye your hair blue. Yeah, a lot of blue hair comments.
Yeah.
What made you decide to dye it blue?
Charity.
Oh, interesting.
But now I like it because it triggers the ever-living hell out of people. I'm like the blue-haired guy, cuck, that everybody hates, so.
Well, there you go. All right, here's what we're going to do. If you haven't already, would you kindly... here we go. Ant345 says, when I worked on a house under construction, someone robbed about $3,000 in tools and materials. That happens a lot. All right, if you haven't already... Would you... Oh, wait, hold on. I got to read one more. Spidge B says, Sam Cedar is obsessed with Tim. Half of his thumbnails have Tim Pool in the headline. If you're going to go low, go get Ethan Klein. He'll bring Cedar like he did to Crowder. 2 for 1. Ha, 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 ha. All right. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel.
All right.
Become a member at timcast.com. Go to timcast.com. Click join us. Sign up. Join the Discord server. Chat with all of the people as the show's going on, and your chat appears on screen. And if you're in the VIB chat, meaning you've been a member for at least 6 months, or you sign up at the $25 tier, you can submit questions and maybe even get selected to call into the show and ask questions, which we will be taking tonight. So that members only show will be up in about 10 minutes. Don't miss it. It'll be live on the front page of timcast.com. You can follow the show show at Timcast IRL everywhere. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Destiny, do you want to shout anything out?
YouTube.com/Destiny, Instagram.com/Destiny, and Twitter.com/TheOmniLiberal. And also for the show that Tim is doing and me, I don't think we'll be on the same one, but festival.minds.com. If you want to buy tickets to the event going on in Austin, by the guys that are working at minds.com. Yeah.
I checked that URL and it didn't take me to a ticket page, so it might be tickets.vulcanpresents.com at the moment. They may end up changing that and doing both.
Oh, true. Yeah, Sean, good one. If you're listening to me, you gave me the wrong link, so suffer.
So you can go to tickets.vulcanpresents.com, and that's where you get the tickets. April 15th, Minds Fest.
But later,
Sean.
If you want to see Stephen debate Milo, it's going to be happening on April 11th, University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Uncensoredamerica.us for tickets for that, and more upcoming events. We're coming back to Penn State after Girl Spin Alex Stein, so we'll see what happens next time.
People follow you on Twitter? Oh, what's that?
I was going to say, that's going to be interesting because between the two of you, I don't know how anyone's going to talk.
He's going to
like
me and Milo?
We're going to moderate it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little physical gesticulation.
Yeah.
Show your feelings.
Is he straight now, or?
He's
ambiguous.
Well, no, so here's the thing. The media lied about it.
Okay.
He says ex-gay. He says Milo explains that he is still attracted to men, but he abstains.
He's less of a
more
degenerate
celibate.
now. He's kind of given up the degeneracy lifestyle. And so for that, if he's not having sex with men at the moment, it doesn't necessarily mean he's straight or gay.
He's just celibate.
He prefers reformed sodomite.
Yeah.
He's not straight. What if he had sex with women?
When is Paltrow won today?
His
I'm happy for her.
was that when he came out and said this, he's still attracted to men, but he's choosing to abstain from sex altogether.
Oh, altogether.
The media came out and said he's claiming he's straight now, and he never said that.
Are you really gay if you abstain completely?
I don't know.
I wonder what makes you gay, the act of sex or wanting it.
All right. Let's get to the members-only section.
I'm Ian Crossland. You follow me on the internet anywhere. We also have Serge Duprea.
Yeah, Serge.com. Let's get to the members only.
All right, everybody. We will see you all over at timcast.com in about 7 or so minutes. Thanks for hanging out.
The pirates should get together. How are you doing? Delicious. You know what I'm eating?
Who's a traitor to God and his people. I'm out here to show President Trump that we are the immortal.
A big old block from Costco, 2 pounds actually. I'm getting a little overboard with it.
Trump is going to take over or soon, whichever is better. I'm going to show him the
That's right.
They're taking pictures back in Jersey. That's something
You, sir, remind me I need to change this. Do appreciate you
Trump
can,
is
sir.
the liberals. I'm here to stand in front of him to defend him and fight against people like Braggs and Letitia James. And by the way, Letitia, you do know that you're going to jail, right? Because you did what 131 federal judges just got found guilty of, which is a conflict of interest.
I haven't had a good sharp cheese in a while. This one is from England. I was going to open some wine tonight. I was thinking about it. I don't know why I didn't. I got naughty. Naughty again. Naughty boy, I opened up the kitchen here.
Wagner, my radio station. 88.7 FM, baby. More disseminate. M-A-U-R-I-C-E, S-Y-M-O-N-E-T-T. How old are you, sir? I don't want to tell you. All right.
Everything that he said, we are 100% in
Okay, tell me again in your words if you don't mind. What brings you out here today?
My own words? This is a crime that's happening right now. This should not be going on. This is right now.
Dude, we lost Will on Rumble. Sorry.
Who is only a puppet, obviously. But it's
We lost Will on Rumble, man. Fuck. I'm growing on Rumble like crazy lately, too. We lost Will. Man down.
The majority of people.
Be a Rumble air before we know it. A millionaire on Rumble. Let's do it.
And we are just
Penis, penis, penis. I did it. Did it work? That was amazing. He just said amazing. Split second after me.
And they have never.
Bro, why do they give me the words like that? Aliens are connected with me and they give me the words somehow. I don't know how they do it. Get the Daisy Dukes on out there, bro, for Trump. Where's Freedom Jeffrey at? Dude, where is Wyckoff America? Wyckoff's America! Wyckoff America! Oh, Wyckoff America, where are you, bro? Fuck, man.
Don't want anybody getting hit. Okay.
Where's he at? He should be there. Actually. I like the other four players that tell me.
You're all standing there with these big things with hands on, like we're going to bring you something. And I find the very insulting. Yes, it is. I mean, you know, we don't cause damage. We do what the police say, even if we don't agree. If they say jump, we jump. I mean,
devoured everything. I can totally relate. 100%.
Save America. Save it.
Vote Trump or go home. Vote America. That's it. Vote America, baby. That's right. If you don't like it, the way it's being run, leave. That's right. It's a free country. Leave.
They are not going to stop.
I already have ice. Already have ice.
Sinister
Thank you so much. I wasn't expecting.
Okay, we're busting out the Found North Double Barrel. I'm just gonna have a small one of this. A little different flavor profile in there. This one's very limited. I doubt it's available anywhere.
homosexual and Marxist organization. Well, let me tell you, you're very
Yeah, that's because we're here at 3 hours.
I swear. What is the work I did? It says Canadian whiskey pink, by the way. It was blended here, though. America. But it was distilled in Canada. Hence the name Found. Why are you retracting your comments? Are we more civilized than bring the content like it's your effective? What does that mean?
Overthrow the Democrat and Confederate rebel bastards from hell.
I love Costco too.
Our president is Jerry succeeded in making him greater, more famous, and all of y'all.
No Bitcoin promoting,
White
no Paul.
European Gentile. Wake up. You don't have to go out and trick the fight. Not yet. Don't do nothing. Calm down. All they doing is making Trump greater.
Oh, because it didn't pump, they didn't promote it?
Just like to defend him, we're going to defend him. But their greatest trick
is a very interesting piece of whiskey.
Trump a racist. Me stand there because I'm supposed to be called the ultimate black supremacist, which is a lie. They call him the ultimate white racist, which is another lie. But when we stand together, we cancel your punk ass stuff.
This is called, probably one of those.
There's a lot going on there.
Oh, sorry.
The mission is to get Trump in because
it's almost too flavorful.
In 1984, that Trump was
Christmas.
King Cyrus. That's right. And then he, Isaiah 45 says that Cyrus would come to deliver the black man, the white man, and the Latin man.
That's right.
The Persians are the white man.
That's right.
The Latin man is the Mede.
That's right.
They joined together with the Elamites, who were the black Hebrews, and they created an army called the Immortals. They were the army that protected Xerxes, who was Ahasuerus in the Bible, but he was the son of Cyrus, who was finishing off the work. So you got to watch the movie 300, so you'll understand that the Elamites, Daniel was so happy that Cyrus came and saved him that he created a black army to go kick their ass. Let me tell you what, they was terrified to see the ex-slaves of Babylon coming at your ass because you are the one that had me in slavery. You're the one that was murdering us, raping us, and eating our babies. You are the one, and now, nigga, here I come.
That's right.
I'm coming with vengeance. And guess what?
We have in the Christmas whiskey this Trump is indicted, pretty much. It's like sweet. It's because it's been in new char barrels. Number 4 char, which is like a crocodile. It's really charred, so it imparts a lot of vanilla flavor into it. With the tawny port, which that's going to put in a lot of really strong alcohol, wine flavors, gravy flavors. That's what's happening here, and it's kind of like it's almost. Man, it's why I don't want to really drink too much of it. I'm only gonna have the one. Because it's so wild, like it's kind of like you don't want to really have too much of it. While at the same time, I want to maybe help, like allow a friend to experience it one day because it's so unique. If we can hold on to it long enough for someone to be here and try it. Let's see. I always hope that never happens though. I could hit up a friend. Maybe I should do that.
Oh no. And that was killing me. I mean, the surgery was fine. All the walks was not too bad. But my first surgery.
Very unique though.
My tonsils.
Aren't you glad you don't have a
Gonna have to bend over, gonna have to bend over now. Gonna have to bend over, gonna have to bend over now. Maybe. Gonna have to bend over.
It's kind of like getting paint across here.
Or it's not go high. What does that mean? He's a bender. You've seen he's a bender over.
I get it wouldn't go away. It was like heartburn sideways.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't go away. Take antacids, Bismarck, maybe I'd even get sick and then it would go away. I get in the hospital and they said, come to see y'all. He said, well, that's an acid reflux. I said, I didn't have that. It never came up here. And so I'm mad. When I got out of the hospital, I called his office and said, you know, I'm only know I had my gallbladder out. And he hadn't called me yet. I've got an appointment next week. I'm not canceling for a doctor. He didn't even call me.
I would cancel.
Are you here?
I would.
But, what do you want to use? I don't know what he's been trying to lighten up these
Oh, you weren't scared. Oh, he's scared.
I'm sorry, but you know what? We've all been fighting out here for so long. You know, we've done my live show with the trooper, but you know, we've all South Florida Trump supporters, and you're one of our most visible. You know, we always
Trump is the absolute most visible human on earth.
But we always see you. You're always right there, Michael. You're always right there.
Well, we got a little bit of fun right now because Jesse Capoeira is trying to keep behind Trump because he's actually a little insider. But Trump is going to find out and he'll make sure that we can stand with him so we can give the sign, the message that the Elamites, which were the immortals, they had to go before Cyrus to go tell the other Gentile kings that listen. I know you heard that King Cyrus is racist and communist, but it's a lie. In actuality, he's here to save you and give Europe back to you. Because you white European Gentiles own this country, and we own the South, you own the North. And you're supposed to get this country. And white Gentiles will listen to it. If Trump tried to go to him by himself, he could talk till he's blue in the face. They will not believe that he's not a colonizer or a racist. And they don't want to hear from him. They need to hear from a real black man. And when I say it, then they listen. Because I am the answer to Obama, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, you know, all the bombs like that. I'm the answer. I'm the counter to them. I'm the one that the real people gonna actually listen to. They're not gonna listen to those other people like Obama. I stand out there. When it's time to arrest Obama for doing all of the treachery that he's done to our country, guess what's gonna happen? I have to announce that. Otherwise, there'll be a race war. I got like Danny told Cyrus back in the Bible in Isaiah 45. He said, "I got to go before you to make the rough places smooth and the crooked things straight." I have to do that because you can go and beat the Gentiles because the Gentiles have been trained to protect the Canaanites and the Ishmaelites, the Mongols and the Huns that has conquered them. They've been trained because they told them that you, King Cyrus or President Trump, are colonizing racists, which is a lie. But only I can tell them that. And they know only I can tell them, so they slickly take me from behind me because they know I got this shirt on with Doeshow.com, which is the message that no, Trump is not a racist. It's on your website too, Trump. But they won't go to that. They only want to hear from the man who's the ex-slave. They only want to hear from me. And when they hear from me, then they'll help Those are the independent. Those Gentiles who are white people are big like the Persian army. Your army can whip them, but it's a difficult fight because they're the same size as you, and it'll be bloody. But if I go before you, I get them to jump on your side and help you. That's how Cyrus took over the world, because he had the Persian army, but he also had the immortals with him, like you saw in the movie 300. And those immortals sent messengers who were black, that they called the Black Persians, and they would walk over to the great king of whatever country and explain it to them. Say, listen, he's not a racist, he's not a colonist, it's all a lie. I am the Hebrew. Those people are fake Hebrew. They're Baal Marduk, the false god. And they're lying to you, and they've re-educated you because they take over the educational system like they've done.
Do you understand? Hope you're listening.
So my job is to go before you and tell the independents, who are the scary white boys, who are those white boys who call themselves white guilt, who will vote everybody into slavery just to please me because they think I want to kill them all through a Passover. There ain't gonna be no race war. There ain't gonna be no Passover. Trump is not a colonist. Trump is not a racist. He's gonna take over this country and give it back to you because you who it belongs to. And I'm the only one they're gonna listen to say that. You got that? That's right. This is Michael the Black Man. Michael the Black Man.
Wow. That was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yes, I think you're right. I think that it is going to be all right. Michael makes it very clear it's biblical what's happening right now.
It's biblical, yeah.
Thank God that somebody like Michael understands his responsibility and what's happening. And then we have somebody like him to take care of us.
Hello.
Exactly.
Are our recommendations supposed to be like political?
You can, whoever you want.
Okay.
I'd say whoever, right? Like, well, because Olay and I don't really tread wholly into politicals all the time. So I think that's fair to make that extension out.
Oh, you think so? Oh, look at that. I thought
I'm going to recommend doing that. Then I got someone else to plug as well. If you like RPGs, JRPGs, Eric Landon RPG, fantastic channel. You can see I watch all his videos. Fantastic videos. Check out Eric Landon RPG. There,
dude. Where do you find where do you find the time to watch to make all these political videos and then watch hour-long RPG videos over there?
I tend to watch videos over like days, so I like pause it like 10 minutes in, watch it the next day, and eventually get through it. But
that's fair.
Or I'll play, like while I'm playing a game, I'll listen to a podcast or listen to a video. So that's how I do it.
I'm going to recommend a little streamer known as Hassan Abi. I'm not sure if anyone's heard now.
You took my joke, Matt. Fuck
you. Should have this segment actually for all of us here.
I'll recommend Debunk the Funk with Dr. Wilson.
Right,
it's a YouTube channel that takes really, really bad COVID takes by Jimmy Dore or Russell Brand or Glenn Greenwald, etc., and then debunks them from the perspective of a molecular biologist who really, really fucking knows his shit. So Dr. Wilson is awesome. Debunk the Funk with Dr. Wilson. I highly recommend.
There you go. Actually, I'm gonna go self-serving here because I got nowhere near as many as you guys on YouTube and Twitch. Follow me. Subscribe to my channel.
Yeah,
YouTube.com/Matt Binder. There's so many of you watching David's channel, Mike's channel, Lance's channel, Blair's channel right now. YouTube.com/ give me to 30,000 subscribers at least. Look how close I am. Come on.
Close.
Let's do it, folks. Come on.
And of course, if you're on Twitch watching Lance, you can just go to twitch.tv/Matt Binder too. And follow me there as well.
And also, don't forget to check out Olay's new YouTube channel. It's got some great content. All right. We also have a young new YouTuber here with us. Know her as well.
Thank you, y'all. Yes, I wanted to do the same thing, and I'm glad Bender did it first because I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. It's too on brand. So yeah, Illuminati on YouTube. I like my page. I like my show. I think it's nice. I think it's cute. So yeah, do that. I put out a new video yesterday. Y'all should watch it.
I like my show.
Oh, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Well, I can put it.
I like my show. I think it's nice. What are you talking about?
It was a really good video. It was really
good.
And I'm gonna recommend everyone's channels here because I think one, we're wrapping up the show, but two, every one of the hosts on our weekly little leftist mafia podcast here has great perspectives on different things going on in the world. There's a lot going on every single day. All of us have different takes, different perspectives, and different things we like to focus on. And I think every single person here produces fantastic content and is worthy of checking out, and subscribing, following, all that good shit.
That's very nice, but again, my channel and Olay's, we don't have enough. Everyone here got too many.
No, that's facts. No, for real. No, yeah, for real. Yeah, no, definitely.
When my channel and Olay's channel are in the six figures, I had 100K. Then I'll start recommending the rest of the hosts' channels.
I told, by the way, Lance.
These three are the. Like,
oh, you're not in that. You're upper five figures though.
I'm not in the 100K club. I was going to plug myself because I have one new video on youtube.com/thesurftv where I go through, and this is a comedy video, r/are the straights okay? It's if you haven't been there, it is a funny corner of the internet. Let me tell you, go to reddit.com/r/are the straights okay? And even straight people will love this. You don't have to be part of the rainbow. You'll have a great time. But oh my, is it wild? There is so much unhappiness in that Reddit thread. So many straight couples, like, I don't know why you're together. I don't get it. Every single one's like, I want to strangle my wife. Oh, my bitch wife. I hate my fucking wife. Oh, I hate my husband. Men are so dumb. I hate men. I'm like, why are you all together? What's wrong with you? You know, it was fun. It was fun and it's funny. I'm gonna plug it.
I told
there you go.
Lance, I saw you watching Foreign Man in a Foreign Lands video, and I sent it to him, and I was like, this is my boy Lance, and he was like, oh, okay, since you say all right, we like him, and I was like, yes, we love Lance, he's an approved, we love the surf.
Because I asked him for an interview, and he was very, very nice to me, and he was very, very friendly. But it's nice to know that now he's like, oh, okay, I've been vetted. I like.
Oh, that's my foreign. His name is Peter. That's my real friend. We are from the same tiny island. That's my boy.
He's awesome. He's so funny.
Yeah, Foreign Man and Foreign Land is my boy.
I got to give a shout out to somebody who's a little bit bigger, but is just still underrated.
No,
I got to. It's okay. It's Shark 300. Like he is so fucking funny. And I think he just hit 100K, but like he should be at like Hassan level. Like the dude is so talented, really so insightful, so funny. So yeah, everybody go subscribe to Shark on Twitter and Twitch. His content is amazing. Like it's always must-watch content.
Totally agree. And while you're there, be sure to go to twitch.tv/MattBinder as well and hit that.
Yes. Illuminati. I
These
think
people
our
are
videos are really
fucking
fun.
goobers, dude. Jesus Christ.
Hey, wanna hang out?
Bitch, born motherfucker. Damn. That was his channel too. I was actually on his channel. Fuck out of here. Too goofy. I thought I was goofy. At least I'm goofy with a deep voice. Hi, Pink. Fuck out of here.
If he can stand it, I can.
Hey. Guaranteed. You going out too? Everybody's leaving? We'll take it off. Take it easy, man. Why do you keep saying Machek? What the fuck is that shit?
They said they're gonna be here tomorrow.
You want me to ban you? Keep being stupid. That's how you get banned. I'll tell you what, this one's really an acquired taste. The Canadian one. Holy shit. Oh, wasted them. They just filled too much with the 2 barrels. It's the new char, I think. That was what really did it. No, maybe it was the tawny. It was one of them. Let's see. Ah! How was your trip, dude?
Shows up in the dark. Yeah.
All good, Adrian.
All good, you buddy? Good. Cuando tú digas. Gran jurado de Nueva York decide acusar al expresidente Donald Trump. Tenemos las reacciones y estamos en vivo desde Mar-a-Lago. Dime.
Watch, it might have drugs in it.
Gran jurado de Nueva York decide acusar al expresidente Donald Trump. Tenemos las reacciones, estamos en vivo desde Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, is it my hand, big guy talking? My cousin suggested you on the phone right now. Watch, guys. We're in another country now.
Yeah.
That's on TV. This is Britain, right?
Hola, ¿cómo están? Muy buenas noches. Nos encontramos a las afueras de Mar-a-Lago, en donde personas de apoyo entre Donald Trump y él se han apostado cerca de Mar-a-Lago para protestar la decisión del gran jurado en levantarle cargos a su mandatario, en presentarle cargos. Dime.
Hunter Biden's child
Okay, dale, buenísimo. 3, 2. Hola, ¿qué tal? Muy buenas noches. Nos encontramos a las afueras de Mar-a-Lago, en donde personas que apoyan al expresidente Donald Trump se han apostado muy cerca de Mar-a-Lago. Están protestando la decisión del gran jurado en... Perdón, dude.
Whatever. Apparently this guitar is made completely of glass. It sounds amazing.
Darle cargos al expresidente Donald Trump. Okay, tag, 3, 2, 1.
It's so upsetting.
Well, and it's your future that they're dealing with. I mean, you're the one that is more affected than all of us here. We're old, and you have your whole life ahead of you.
Hay que recalcar que el hecho que esté enfrentando cargos al expresidente Donald Trump no evita que este siga corriendo.
What does that mean? You're taking down the big fish.
Siga con su carrera como 3, 2, 1. Hay que recalcar el hecho que a pesar que el expresidente Donald Trump enfrente cargos, esto no evita el hecho que siga por la carrera hacia la Casa Blanca. Desde West Palm Beach, en Mar-a-Lago, soy Adrián Criscau, Telemundo.
And I don't blame you if you say no way.
I don't really know. I kind of
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you my card because you should be mentored by real journalists, not these people. Don't expect to get rich being a journalist. However, you can expect to have a very interesting lots of things, lots of places, do things other people can't do. But if you're making a lot of money, then you probably aren't doing this, you know? So, yeah, so keep in touch with me. Yes, definitely. Thank you. I'll be here tomorrow night. Yeah, you're so welcome. I know. Oh, really? Great. Did I give you my card? I'm like, oh, it's a pizza. Yeah, I'll put it on. I hate to put pizza on the ground. It's a pizza. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I wanted to see.
I think this is lagging by a couple minutes. It is. Yeah. Yo. Oh shit! I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
Yo, pickle hype. Bentley. They roll through the Bentleys.
What are you doing with all the pizza shells? I gotta walk all the way back to the car with pizza. Yep. Oh, yeah. It's a long thing.
Because we evolved over hundreds of years. Before you say anything, kid, I'm telling you this vermin has it coming. Don't go eating my geraniums, buddy. I'm a man and I kill things.
What do I care if one little raccoon
Hell's
dies
this?
when the universe is endless, human endeavor pointless, and life meaningless?
Oh, I can't watch that. Copyrighted.
I think we're gonna have a lot of outside people coming down.
Yes, you need a confident man with hair, Pink. That's what will fix you. You can be fixed, you just gotta want it enough.
Get out the road, get out the road, G. Get out the road.
Office America.
He's got a new car, a new Bentley.
Do you know what's happening? Where is he?
Look at that. We have to walk over the cows. The cows come home. The cows come home. Guess so. If we're coming back tomorrow.
Echo crack. There you go. Give it a black dude. They might hurt your vagina though. You might like that. You might have that loose pussy. Lord, got some big dick in it now. That's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about.
I'll see you at Linda. Yeah. All right. Nice talking to you. Bye-bye. See you guys tomorrow.
Close pussy.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
You guys leaving?
Yes. Way to go.
Yeah, the loose pussy pink. This is an educational question.
Hey, if nothing else, this could be good.
Hoof toe. No.
Are you with Fox?
There we go. Get out of the way.
You figured it out, didn't you?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
still
good
right here.
job. Okay.
All right.
This is the box. Are we on?
I don't know. We're waving. Okay, well, I'm okay with it.
I'm getting eaten by a flag.
The lights are on.
Wave now.
Oh, she got a good.
I'm dying from my salt and my alcohol intake.
Okay, well, when that interview ends, they're going to go back to the. She left. Yeah, sit up here so you
Now you're on the beach.
All right. What is your name?
Jill.
Jill, I'm John.
Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you also.
I'm actually the only real journalist here.
Oh, really?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I graduated from journalism school in 1987. I was with the Pittsburgh Press Gazette for 18 years.
You want to meet my brother? So do my brother.
Yeah. Oh, hello, brother. Hello. Can you see us? Are we both on? You guys see us on TV? Now you're on. No, we are. They tell us we are.
We are on? Okay.
Hello.
We love Fox News.
You gotta say it. I don't gotta say it.
So let me ask you, we're not. Are we like? You want to go on a date with my brother, or you will say?
I'm a recent widow, so I'm not really dating.
Well, you know, he's a nice guy.
Well, that was nice of you.
Watching that Fox app.
I said, really?
Are you watching that app, Fox app?
No, I'm actually doing a live show on Facebook right now.
My brother's watching the Laura Ingraham show.
His brother's watching. Oh, there's a delay.
Oh, that explains it.
I'm in a split screen.
It's a 2-minute delay. That's why I couldn't figure out how
Huh. He trying to hook his brother up with her, dude. That's
What time
hilarious.
did you get here today?
He's a recent widow, though. Yeah.
And I stayed until about.
Now he died.
I wanted to see a little bit of Hannity, but then I got a better spot.
Wait, widow.
Isn't it interesting how we all just showed up? Like, we didn't even have a plan. Nobody said anything.
And I didn't have my flag. I had to go home and get my flag, my red T-shirt, and come and join everybody.
Oh no, you
I
need
always
more
have my
beer
rally
pink.
hat in the car.
More beer
You're
pink.
cool.
I was ready to go.
You're too cool for school.
So you guys actually seeing us on TV right now? Is that happening?
He loves that.
I don't know. Were we just standing here? And...
Well, it's a 2-minute delay, so whatever.
Depends on how you're watching it, what cable company, DirecTV, cable, it really depends. But it's a large chunk.
We're getting our 15 minutes
Oh, we're
of
on.
fame here.
My brother says we're on.
We're on. And now all my friends are texting me. So,
Okay, good.
and you guys are watching.
Well, we're here in support of Donald Trump. And,
Yeah, this is not a protest. This is a support. This is we're showing our support and our love for the one person who has been fighting for us the entire time and just keeps getting beaten up and beaten up and beaten up. We're tired.
But he's a strong man.
Yes, he is.
And he's going to come out of this victorious.
Because it's so clear what's happening. It's so clear. There's nothing you not see.
Come on in. Come on in.
Hello, come on in.
These people are kind of like attention whores. They see this bright light, the Fox camera, and they just go and stand right in front of it. And just stand there. And then they just stand there and they're like, look, are we on TV now? Do y'all guys see us? Hey, come here, come stand here in front of the camera with us. I'm standing. You want to stand with me? I'm standing. Let me smell your fingers. Oh, did you have a dinner? Breathe on me. Give me COVID. I'm trying to get some time off from work. This shit's whack. There's like 10 people out there. This guy used to be president of the country. There's 10 people. White Cross America's not even out there. It's so whack. You would think, I would think there would be at least 50, 100 people out there, but no. There's like 10, 20.
This is just seriously the strangest experience today. That you guys are watching my show.
Oh, yeah. I think the camera's coming back around.
She's like, you guys are watching my show. She just said your live stream. She's all in.
They don't want us off the, they don't want us.
If we're out there, they'll see us.
No fucking problem.
Yeah, nobody cared, I guess, dude. Nobody cared about our Lord and Savior Trump.
I trust Ainsley more than you. Tucker's a good man. Yeah.
You guys have no idea how bad I want to wander over there.
Sorry, Jesus, I'm just playing.
I know, I'm saying.
Jesus can take a joke, dude.
I'm talking about to the popos. Hey, you know.
He's funny. You don't know. You don't know Jesus like I do. Jesus was hilarious back when he was. Why do you think he had so many people kicking it with him? He was hilarious, and they were like, "Dude, I'll go wherever you go, man. You keep me laughing and shit all the time. Let's go."
That's right. We're not bad. We're not like that. We're the best. That's right. We stand high what we believe in, and we don't care. Democrats have ruined this country, and they continue.
What, Jesus wasn't funny? Fuck you, loser. You're not funny.
I pray, my God, right now, above my head, and say, you know what? We take the high road. He's gonna take care of all this for us. That's it. That's it. Praise God.
He had to have been funny, dude. He had to have been. People wouldn't want to hang out with him that much if he wasn't. You know, if he would have been just all serious all the time, acting like he was better than everybody and shit, that wouldn't have worked. My dad's God. Come on, let's go. That wouldn't have worked.
We are the best country. And they're trying to let China be the best country. And they are not. No. Never. And your socialism, you can take it back to your country. And if you like it, go live there. That's not there. No, he's not.
Let's go. Where are we going?
That's right.
I mean, it is biblical. Like,
Yep, we'll get on that side. Yeah, just go right over. Yep.
Tell her about the interesting today. What the lady said to you today. Tell her.
He's flipping him off.
There's demons out there that are trying to make us believe in their beliefs. I grew up, my dad was a lieutenant colonel for 26 years in the Air Force, and he was a deacon in the Southern Baptist Church. And let me tell you, this is not where my father died. He did not die for this country to go down like they're trying to make us. They're not going to do it. Satan. They believe in chaos and lies, and that's what they thrive on. And what they do is they try to turn us all against each other. This country was divided when Obama came into office. We are not divided. Only divided because just like back in the day, they sang that little song, and I'm sorry to be like sad, but let me tell you, when we were grew up, and they sang that little song about every color. I think it makes my life but it was so good people before Jesus, you know? That is the fact. Children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Amen. Yes.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen.
Because I grew up, I'm Southern Baptist, and I'm not saying I was the best Baptist, but I grew up in we had an outdoor tabernacle.
Let it go!
Everybody. Well, you know what really makes me sad is the shooting that just happened in Tennessee. Let me tell you, you guys, this is really sad. But if anybody watched Candace Owens' 45-minute video that she did, that young lady that was in that video shot
My sister watching it live.
How sad it was. Baby, and those people. They are right now at the state capitol of Tennessee protesting women's rights. That's when you know Satan is doing it now. Oh, yeah.
They ended. Shit. Oh, stop. Down. Man, so. Shit.
Hang on. Be good after this. Video capture device. Let's go with.
Sorry.
Wide HD cam. Okay. Alright, we're good. Control F for fit in OBS. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Good. And why is that little live chat thing there? It's fine. Live chat. We'll close that. Overlay. Alright, I'm good. YouTube modify, just in case my stream key changed. What people who don't stream don't know about stream keys and URLs and stuff like that. It's just a nightmare. You guys don't want to do it.
Yeah, dude, live streaming, you guys think it's just easy. You turn on the camera and go. It is not.
It is when you're streaming from a phone like you are.
When you're done,
actually,
even though you've done like a 2 or 3 hour stream, you feel like you've been doing an 8-hour job.
100.
Oh my god.
It's all mind work.
So what do I feel like after a 12-hour stream?
It really is.
I feel like a day and a half.
Like the hardware, like you have your phone, show them the cordage and stuff like that.
The what?
The cordage, the hardware. Like they don't realize how many cords.
Every 12 hours is a day and a half to me.
I'm on my phone right now, but I mean, like
a taste of what goes into
taste.
Look at my back. These are my bags. These 2 bags go everywhere with me when I'm
fuck out of here with that shit,
I mean,
dude.
there's cords. There's
cords
everything,
and there's power supplies.
There's another camera that wait a minute, it's gone. Did Tom take my? Did Ultimate take my camera? See, that's why I don't want to call you by your first name.
Miss me with that shit.
Ultimate took my camera, didn't he?
He's still on the road.
Oh no, it's right here.
If they don't have a live view, then they don't really have to deal with
He was
too much
eyeballing it
with
though. He was
IRL streaming.
eyeballing it.
Right, Andy?
Well, that's why I don't like calling people.
Live view and cloud OBS, now that complicates things a little bit. It gets a little
Dude, and then I got
wonky.
like secret shit. These are 1080p glasses.
He's a spy.
Like you can't tell that they're camera glasses. They're spy glasses. That's what they're called.
What does that even mean?
And he's still taking forever.
Oh, you can.
Yes.
You can film with those. That's cool.
Because the people that are watching my show are not going to be worried about me.
Do that.
Oh yeah, and Tifa doesn't watch my show. That's right.
Must be shit quality because he never
What's
uses
going on,
those glasses.
Sam? Sam's over on Twitter.
Are you live to Twitter right now?
Yeah. We're on Twitter and YouTube. But yeah, I mean, there's like... So you got to pay Restream software. What? Restream's like $110 a year.
Yep.
Then you got to pay like
Restream
I have
is
Streamlabs,
like
which is $100.
7 something a year.
I also
actually.
have Ecamm for streaming, which is like another $150.
8 different
Gotta pay
platforms
your
at once.
It's expensive, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, a year, he says.
Yeah. It's not that easy. How tall is the king of the
He ain't
ultimate?
spending
What,
that much, bro. I'm spending more and making
6'1"
less.
maybe?
Probably. I don't doubt that at all.
Hope is
But
like
it's
he's
okay.
6'1" or 6.
One day we'll.
Hope knows more about the
Like
both of us than
2024 is
anybody
gonna be
needs
our
to
year.
know.
Yeah.
Hope is yeah. Oh, thank you,
all
Paulie.
for
Look
what
at
you
Paulie.
do
Paulie
around
gave $5.
here,
Thank
wherever
you.
you are.
Yo, thank you for your support.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of Eddie.
You know, when me and Ty were at the Derek Chauvin trial, though, Paulie lives about a couple hours out of Minneapolis and never came to see us. But you know what's funny? His whole family watches my show.
Said someone would just give you $5.
Yo.
I joke with him. He's my boy. Paul and his
Not
sister
better
and
than
his brother
nobody's better
Eric,
than
they
anybody.
all watch the show. Oh, thank you, Missy. And I've called them one day. They're all in separate rooms watching my show at the same time.
They're cool ass people though. Thank you, Missy. Thank you. You just helped put a couple miles on the truck.
Nice.
That $5 here in Florida, the $5 goes more than California. He's still setting his shit up. See, he would drive me nuts. He is driving me nuts. I'm like, hurry the F up. I'm one of those people that get all frazzled and I'll put shit together real quick just to get it on live.
Must be nice.
Ty hates it.
It's the teardown that's hilarious.
Yeah, Ty's like, he's sitting there and he's slowly wrapping my cables up and I'm like, Ty, just fucking throw it in the truck. He's like, but Eddie, it'll be so much nicer if we put it away right. And it is, but my ADD doesn't let me do it. I mean, like, my 360 camera is apart right now. By the way, we got some good 360 camera footage in, where are we at right now? St. Augustine. A lot of people watch and support you like, I am. I'm kind of a big deal. I got the court reporter to say it even. The prosecutor, he's like, Eddie, so you think you and Joe Biggs are kind of a big deal? I was like, yeah, we are.
That's great. All right.
Dude, Joe Biggs and Enrique and all those guys, they're heroes to a lot of people, you know?
Freedom!
Now you're in chilly Minnesota. Be nice now. That's true. That's true. I met who did we meet? Ty in Minneapolis.
Yo, there was all those.
It was the two Joshes. No, the two Joshes.
Oh no, I was thinking about Captain Jack Sparrow today at the fort. Those actors were
the actors,
awesome.
Yeah, they had actors.
Those actors were awesome.
Oh, and so we go to this restaurant. It was handicap accessible. So I'm like, yeah, just go there. And they're like, but Eddie, it's seafood. You can't eat the stuff. I'm like, who cares? They gotta have a burger or something. So we're at this restaurant, and the guy, he's like, okay, it's Cajun. It's a little bit spicy.
But not too much.
But not too much. So I order a steak, and the first freaking bite burnt my mouth for like 10 minutes straight. 2 margaritas went down within like 2 seconds.
$12 a pop, mind you.
Were they that much?
They were 12 a pop.
I didn't look at the price.
I did. I was like, you just drank $22 worth of booze in about 5 minutes, bitch.
Gotta be careful with that word around Eddie. That's a bad word. But yeah, I definitely drank it. My eyes are not...
Ellie. We're good to go.
Why does everybody say my eyes are... Do I look that high? I'm not even high right now. I'm just fat. That's how my eyes look.
That make you very...
Especially when I'm sitting next to this skinny fucker over here with all the muscles. Yeah, liberal Minnesota. He's trying... So Ultimate's trying to set up his stream.
I'm already set up. We can go.
Oh.
Whatever.
Well, start your stream and then I'll turn mine off.
That'll work.
So that way they can go right from my stream.
Do they know where to go?
Y'all know where to go? It's called the Hope. Can you do me a favor? He's going to go live. Hope will give you guys the link so you guys can go over. And then Mandy says I look toasted.
Thank you for the kind words. No, it's just because I look so... What's the word? I don't even know. Youthful? Maybe you're...
Well, yeah, because I'm old as fuck. Well, I'm like 20 some odd years older than you.
Not 20 some odd years older.
Yeah.
I know you're in your 40s.
Yeah, I'm 46.
You're 46?
I'm 46.
God damn, son.
I'm 46. I told you, I'm like 20 years older than you.
That's not 20.
Okay, I'm 19 years older than him.
No.
You're in your 20s, aren't you?
The fuck is this guy talking
Doesn't he look
about?
like he's in his 20s?
No.
Really?
I'll be in my mid tries this year.
Well, I'm still 10 years older than you.
What can I say? My youthfulness shows.
Well, my fatness sticks out, so.
PB. But do we want to leave now? Is the question.
Well, you don't have to leave. So wait a minute. Somebody do me a favor and type !Mandy J.
Bring the hot food on. Sounds good.
Because it's either Mandy J or Freckles is the one that likes to run naked.
Yo, Billy, it was fire. Of all people, Billy. He's
it was
got
hot.
A palate. Oh, he is. I can't do the spicy stuff, Billy. But what were those sausage balls that we had that were fried?
Yeah, what were the sausage balls we had, Ty? It started with the B, right?
Billy would know the shit too because
it's
he's
Cajun
Italian.
food. It's Cajun food.
What was it?
Bowden or
Poutine. Billy, you know what poutine is? God dang, son. I thought it was oysters. It was sausage.
Morning.
Pretty good.
Oh, it was so good. Hey, Betty White, nice to see you. Oh my goodness, that shit was good.
Poutine.
Don't die on me, dang.
When I sneeze,
What's up, Betty White?
It's fully auto.
It's fully auto?
That and pollen's killed me.
So my mom was the kind of person, when she sneezed, she would close her nose, and it would blow. She blew her eardrums out a couple times.
Yeah, my grandma would do that.
Yeah.
The sneeze would be...
Yeah, exactly, right? She didn't care about farting out loud, though. Dude, how much gaff tape you got on that thing? Duct tape.
2 little things. Gotta say, I stepped on it.
I break shit all the time, so.
Yeah. Alright.
I know Hope is getting, she's like, I'm waiting on the fucking stream.
Yes, Hope.
So she won't say it, but I'm gonna say it.
Ready.
I'm waiting for the motherfucking stream so I can post the motherfucking link, you asshole.
Oh, yeah, it was at Harry's Seafood.
Oh, you're waiting for me to
Yeah,
go?
Harry's Seafood. Harry's Seafood, that's where we
B-O-U-D-I-N.
B-O-U-D-I-N.
I gotta put this somewhere.
Oh, yeah, put it up right there. Set it on there. Big boy. Oh, and he's messing this thing up. Here, we can put it where my laptop is.
True. What tie? Pink. How's that?
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Your OBS looks way different. Oh, no, it doesn't.
I have a Streamlabs version, I think.
I have Streamlabs version, too.
I still gotta update it. But I
So we're waiting for his stream to start, and then I'll turn mine off, and y'all can go there.
Yeah, maybe.
We're gonna have a competition. Who's got the most? And it's not gonna be me. We have 32 people watching right now, so you're gonna have like 50 probably.
On Facebook? Maybe.
Oh no, I'm only on YouTube.
Slower.
I'm only on YouTube.
YouTube would be slower.
Well, we're on Twitter too, but nobody watches me on Twitter. And if you're not a San Jose Sharks fan, then you don't know what's on.
We're back. Hope, ETA 10 seconds. Everybody in chat, it's been awesome. Mandy, hot damn. Missy, good to see you. One Eyes. Billy, you too, bro.
You know what 10 minutes mean, Hope? You know my 10 minutes last like 2 hours, so.
Well, 10 minutes was 40 minutes ago.
Right? Thank you, Ty. Here, I'll show you guys what you guys all want to see. Here's the monster. Donnie. Wake up, monster.
His eyes opened.
He's tired. He's had a long day.
I'm sure he'd love a
He's had a long couple weeks. Oh, you drove all... Donnie's been to more states than most people in this chat room probably has.
Facts.
Oh, Donnie. Come on, monster, wake up. There he is. Say hi, Donnie. Donald J. Trump. All right, I think he's... Ladies and gentlemen.
We're good.
Well, then hit that start button.
I don't want to. All right.
So that way Hope can give them the link. He's worn out, Melissa, big time. Big time wore out.
All right, we're good on YouTube.
Ty's on the bed. Ty doesn't want to be seen, so he's out of the picture.
All right.
He's relaxing, which he deserves. Hot Damn says hi.
Hello.
Hello. Are you anybody old enough to remember that?
We're good.
Hello.
Do it, Tommy, says Missy. All right, yeah. We're live.
Yeah, Seinfeld.
It's weird.
Ty got it.
See how it keeps disconnecting the Wi-Fi? I told you.
Well, here, connect to my cell phone.
Oh, do like a hotspot?
I can do a hotspot.
We can do that.
Hey, your camera's pointing this way.
No, you're
it's
good,
not.
Ty.
You're not in there, bro. Don't worry.
Let me see if Facebook's good. But no. Whatchamacallit?
Here, just join my hotspot.
I will.
It's going to be iPhone 2, I think.
Maybe I will.
Well, never mind. I'm going to cancel it.
Yeah, let me end my YouTube stream real quick, and then we'll do that. But what's fucked is it says excellent condition on YouTube. You see that?
Mm-hmm. They're screwing with us.
Yo,
oh, yeah, they're there.
Manuel.
Might as well just leave it on.
No. Look at that quality. It's horrible. Yo, One-Eyed Cat. Hot damn. Is it coming through fine? My analytics look good, but OBS keeps saying disconnected. Hey, Mandy J. See that?
How bad is it, guys?
How's the audio? Yeah.
Well, here.
Oh, true. You just mute me. That's whack how it keeps disconnecting. Keeps freezing, right, Hot Damn? Yeah.
I don't know if I want to look at it because I don't know if I'm subscribed. Okay, I was gonna say I hope I'm subscribed to his channel. I don't know if I want to look at it. Yeah, it keeps freezing.
At a hot spot.
It keeps freezing. I'll give him my hotspot to my cell phone.
Be right back.
So good thing we haven't quit yet. Where should I go? Facebook or YouTube? We're at the hotel. You can come hang out with us right here.
There's 30 people watching Eddie just chill in a hotel.
Got you. Hang on. I'll fix it. We'll start.
There's just something.
I don't know why your laptop won't connect to our hotel stream.
This actually is nothing. I'm leaving. It's time for me to go to bed. I don't know what the fuck that is. They're knocking me the fuck out right now, though. I'm leaving. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out tonight, wherever you're at. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. No, not Twitch. Africa TV, Trovo, Kick, Rumble, DLive, Facebook. Everybody. Alright. I'm leaving now. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks again, Catman, for your support. Thanks for coming through and saying hi, letting us know you're okay. That's the best thing. It's time for me to go. Yeah. Tomorrow, new day. Friday. Happy Friday. It's Friday now somewhere. Nope, not yet. Not in America. Soon, though. That's why I gotta go now before it's Friday. Because it's the Thursday stream. If I'm live for Friday, then it's the Friday stream time. And then... Alright. I have the wrong title. It's not Thursday anymore. It's Friday. I have the wrong title then. Now I gotta change everything. And what do I do? What do I do? Put Thursday and Friday? It's one or the other. See you tomorrow, Pink. Hope so. Sleep well. Hope you get a good night's rest in, everybody. Good day tomorrow. If I don't see you, have a good week. Have a good whatever it is. Oh, somebody shows up. That's cool. Doing fast. I got so much going. Tony G, thank you so much for Kick. Brett Bet, thank you for hanging out on Rumble. And Will, too. Hopefully he'll come back. Oh, he's already gone. That's already gone. I'm sorry I shooed Will off because I went off on him. Sorry about that. Sweet. Everybody else is on DLive. My Tiger was there. Tiger was there, dude. Heck yeah. Awesome. And then that's about it. Hey, love you too, Pink. Dino. Bubba. Golden Coin was first, though. Number 1. Okay, that's all. Get some good sleep tonight. We're getting to bed early. I know I am. Love y'all. Good night.